What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, movie news, right here streaming live for you guys over on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for certainly joining us here from wherever section of the internet you're certainly joining us from. We certainly do appreciate you guys certainly coming through today. A little bit of an impromptu special edition of A Plus Hero Report, if you will, since yesterday was Father's Day. So happy belated Father's Day to every dad out there. We decided to go ahead and drop one today. Today was my day off. I got a lot of work I honestly got to get done today. We actually had a fan expo Dallas out here this past weekend. A ton of content that I wind up getting in regards to our coverage there. So it's going to be a big editing day for me when it comes to A Plus Hero Report around here. But we always wanted to go ahead and make sure that you guys are caught up with all the hottest news that's certainly going around right now, and felt that, you know what? Even despite having a Father's Day on Sunday, we should certainly still have an episode of A Plus Hero Report. So it certainly worked out to our benefit here because it's not just myself. Oh, no, that's right. We got good old Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I've been looking on on your Instagram, seeing all the photos that you've posted from the convention, and yeah, it looks like an absolute blast. I'm loving a lot of the cosplays that you've been taking photos of because they look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man. I tell you, every year I go to these fan expos or just any convention in general, I'm always blown away by the creativity, the imagination. Like, I look at these people and the stuff that they put together, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I don't even know where to begin. And that type of stuff just always floors me. So if you guys have not checked it out, over on our Facebook page, along with our Instagram page, we did in fact go ahead and post up our entire cosplay gallery of all the cosplayers we bumped into. I'm sure there were certainly plenty more that we certainly missed out on. So for those I did miss, I apologize. But if you want to go ahead and check out some of their amazing cosplay work over on our Facebook page, as well as our Instagram page. I also got a couple of panels that I recorded. I'm trying to think of who all was there. Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian, Breaking Bad. He was there. I got a chance to record one of his panels. The Superman and Lois cast was certainly there, Stuart. I think you might be interested in that, along with Breck Basinger. She wind up having a little bit of a panel also. So we got tons of stuff that are definitely coming to your guys' way. Katie Sackhoff was there this past weekend. So if anything, we'll probably wind up dropping some highlight videos for you guys from those panels throughout the week. So we definitely have a lot of content certainly headed your guys' way. And I tell you, Stuart, when I saw Breck and I saw Superman and Lois, I immediately thought of you, man. I'm like, man, Stuart would just be eating these panels up, man.
Yeah, I definitely would have. One thing I did see though on Alex's Instagram page, he's the guy that plays Jordan Kent. I saw a really funny photo where it's him with the cast and crew from Trailer Park Boys, and he goes, "The crossover no one wanted, but it's definitely happening." I thought, yeah, that was pretty funny, and I always love it when when people who are like part of one show are also part of another show that I may not be the biggest fan of, but I definitely am very familiar with.
Yeah, Trailer Park Boys definitely had their fan base out there for sure. I personally have never watched anything that they've done, or maybe I have and I don't even know it. But yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, oh my goodness, even my girlfriend knew who they were. But so yeah, I'm the one out of the loop, unfortunately, Stuart.
Yeah, I mean,
Where do you watch them at? Are they on YouTube? They have a show or
oh,
where?
yeah, it's all on Netflix. Like they
Oh,
have
okay.
all I think there's 9 seasons of it. Plus they have
Oh,
like a
wow.
weird 10th season that's like animated because the whole season is them being tripping out on drugs. So it's animated. But yeah, it's funny. Like I never like kept up with the show, but it's kind of like Bob's Burgers. It's one of those shows where I've seen an episode here or there from every season, but I've never like actually consistently watched it.
No, I totally get you, man. I totally get you. Yeah, I definitely have a bunch of seasons like that, or a bunch of shows like that. But yeah, guys, so very busy weekend, but it was a fantastic one. So yeah, definitely look forward to some Fan Expo Dallas content coming to the YouTube channel this week. And then, of course, we got Miss Marvel later on this week for you guys that Indy and Stuart are probably going to try and tackle. And then, of course, we got our finale for Obi-Wan Kenobi that's going to be dropping this upcoming Thursday. So, or this Wednesday, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. So a lot of big stuff certainly headed our way. How have you been, Stuart? How's your week been, bro?
My week's been pretty good. I've been good. Yesterday I got to do D&D for like the first time in hell long, and that was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, speaking of D&D, my girlfriend was actually going through Stranger Things season 2. I think she's actually working her way through the entire season again. Even though we've wrapped up so far, part 1 of this final season, she's decided to go back and re-binge everything. So yeah, anytime D&D gets brought up for some reason, Stranger Things, boom, right in my head.
Understandable.
I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life though, honestly.
It's fun when you're doing it with a group that you can really connect with. It's definitely not a game that you want to start doing with random strangers. It's a game
Mm.
where if you start doing it, you want to make sure you're doing it with like people like you're very comfortable with, if that makes sense.
Is there a reason for that?
Oh, well, it's very like the game itself can be played like multiple ways. Like you can get like super complicated with all the details that go into, designing your character, what goes into combat and that kind of stuff. Or you can really just be, have fun with it and use like the rules kind of as a guideline. And that
Mm.
really kind of depends on how the dungeon master wants to play it. And it also, that's why it kind of helps if you're like playing with like a group of people that know to get the game really well and they know you very well, so that they kind of want to help ease you into it. It's like a
Mm.
good way to do that because then they know where you're at. They know how to like kind of go at your pace essentially, but they
Okay.
also know how to keep the game going for all the experts as well.
Okay, that's all right. I'll definitely have to remember that next time if I ever get invited to a D&D game. Yeah, I've always had the imagination for it, I think. Like I always been a big fan of like RPG video games. So, I don't know how that translates into like an actual board game, but I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. I would definitely be intimidated though, for sure. First time out. But all right, guys. As we get into this week's episode, we're gonna hit you guys with some honorable mentions. We definitely will be doing some live viewer questions towards the end. I'm probably not gonna promote it though for you guys to submit questions in because we got plenty of questions right now. No more questions right now, guys, until we start asking for more. But we'll definitely get into your live viewer questions towards the end as we certainly do our best to continue to play catch up around here. But Stuart, our next section, honorable mentions, some topics that didn't quite necessarily make the cut, but felt you guys definitely deserve to know about it. Do you have any honorable mentions on deck?
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be issue number 6 of Earth Prime, which is the Arrowverse kind of tie-in comic books.
Yeah.
So we got to see all the setups, which have been like throughout all the current like Arrowverse television shows that are on still. Sorry, I'm really tired. Anyways, so yeah, number 6 is going to be the actual crossover. So we'll get to see how it all ties in together and what I think the guy's name is Magog or something like that, the main villain. We get to see what his overall plan is going to be. So that's exciting.
Magog. Why does that sound familiar to me? Is that the same villain from the Kingdom Come series? Does
I
he have
don't
like
think so.
does he have like horns on his head? Is it
Yeah, he has
gold?
like
Like a horn helmet? Like a ram?
yeah,
Almost?
if I remember correctly, I think so.
Yeah, I think he was the villain in the Kingdom Come series by Mark Waid and Alex Ross years ago in the 4-part miniseries. I think he was actually one of the main characters in there. So that's kind of trippy, actually, that they're using him for this crossover event. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't had the opportunity to read the tie-in comic books, unfortunately. I remember when I was at the Superman and Lois panel, somebody did ask Tyler if they were gonna finally give him some answers as to whether or not Superman is on Earth Prime, and he was like, "Yeah, don't worry. 2 more episodes left. You'll get your answers." He's like, "I can't answer it here, NDA." He's like, "But you'll get your answers in the last 2 episodes of the season." So I guess it's been building up to that. I unfortunately have missed out on this season. Me and the
Yeah,
girlfriend were me and the girlfriend had our ears covered for most of the panel, trying to avoid spoilers. But it was a good one. It was a good spoiler, a good panel.
it is funny because yeah, people have been like asking that for a while, and that is the answer that I think Todd gave us like originally, saying that yeah,
Mhm.
you'll get your answers at the end of the season, and I think we kind of figured it out how because we recently got like an article saying that apparently Diggle's going to make a cameo during the last episode, so I
Oh,
feel
that's
like that'll
interesting.
probably be how like the questions get answered. But found the photo of our villain from the Earth Prime
Yep.
comic books.
Bro, though, that's totally him. That's totally Magog from Kingdom Come. Just a younger version of him, though. That's incredible.
Awesome.
That's cool that they're using that character. Any other honorable mentions you have?
That's all for me.
All right. Let's see here. I got three quick topics off the honorable mention side. Listen, we've been knowing that a live action Barbie movie is certainly coming to town. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, we got the opportunity to see Margot Robbie as the Barbie character in her pink Cadillac, of course. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, it might get a little bit hot in here, but good old Ryan Gosling is certainly coming through as we get our first look at Ryan Gosling as Ken, the perfect Ken doll to go ahead and match up with Margot Robbie's Barbie. Stuart, what are your thoughts, man? I am eagerly anticipating this movie in some weird sort of way. Like, I need to see these two actors together as Barbie and Ken. I think Ryan Gosling nails it.
Yeah, nails it a bit too well, if you ask me. It's so photoshopped and fake looking that I feel like I'd be more terrified if I saw him in real life. Not gonna lie. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just more surprised that this movie's happening, and I'm happy that they seem to be going down the self-awareness route rather than actually trying to appeal to a really young audience.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect I do that's a perfect explanation. I do love the self-awareness. I mean, look at the house itself is pink. The whole house is pink, it seems like. So yeah, they definitely know what they're doing here, and it looks like they're certainly going to have some fun with this script for sure, and not take itself seriously at all. But hey, Ryan Gosling may be Photoshop, but those abs aren't, my guy. I'm pretty sure he's in great shape. But this is our very first look at Ryan Gosling as Ken from the Barbie movie, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. Datilla says Ryan. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just thought this was funny. Like, saying that he kind of looks like Freddie Prinze Jr. in the Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, he definitely does. And her other reference, Orange Cassidy, he's a wrestler. He usually comes out with the jean jacket or the jean vest and the blue jeans with his hands tucked into his pocket, sort of thing. So yeah, it's a perfect combination here. But yeah, guys,
that's really funny because like yesterday during D&D, I think my friend Isaiah was like telling me about that specific wrestler, and I was just kind of like thinking the entire time watching him wrestling, I'm like, dude, if I ever got into wrestling, this is exactly how I would do it. This is exactly what my character would be.
Oh, so you've seen him? You've seen Orange Cassidy before?
Yeah, I had forgotten his name. That's why I skipped over it. But now realizing that's who it was, like, yeah, I think if I was the wrestler, I'd be like Orange Cassidy for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. But yeah, Ryan Gosling certainly looking great in this part. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the other supporting characters are certainly going to be and what this movie is going to turn out to be. But it looks like they're going to have some fun with it. Other honorable mention in here, if you guys are big in regards to DC animated films, we actually have ourselves a brand new one that's set to go ahead and drop here. This is Batman Azteca, coming to HBO Max. This information was released this past week, where HBO Max officially announced its next DC animated film. It says it's going to be featuring the voice of Horatio Garcia Rojas from Narcos Mexico, who's going to be playing the leading role in here. It says Batman Azteca Choque de Imperios will be directed by Juan Mez Leon, who has done Harley Quinn. It is set to take place against the backdrop of a captivating history of Mexico and immerse fans around the world in an exciting culture of Mesoamerica. It looks like here's the synopsis. It says, in the time of the Aztec Empire, I'm butcher this name, guys, and I'm so sorry. Harley Codal. I'm pretty sure I destroyed that name. A young Aztec boy experiences a tragedy when his father and village leader is murdered by Spanish conquistadors. This is the character escapes to another city to warn the king and his high priest of imminent danger, using the temple of the Bat God as a lair. He trains with his mentor and assistant, developing equipment and weaponry to confront the Spaniard invasion, protect the temple, and avenge his father's death. I'm actually pretty interested in this, in the sense that I like the idea of them really picking us up from out of Gotham and literally throwing us into like a timepiece period here. I feel like they've done this with Batman before. The first thing that comes to mind is Batman Samurai, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Kind of see Batman in the samurai time period. So to kind of see how another character picks up the Bat mantle during the era of Meso America, I kind of dig the backdrop. I'm really kind of interested in checking out to see what this is like. But from first impressions, Stuart, what are you thinking about Batman Aztec?
I think it definitely looks extremely cool.
I think so too. I love the
This is
design.
something yeah, this is something I haven't heard of until just now, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this now. It looks like they're doing something completely different, which I like. With animation too, you got like a lot more flexibility to really be creative with a lot of the aesthetics that you probably wouldn't be able to do if this were like a live action project. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised this is happening, but I'm also looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's going to be a HBO Max too, I think they're definitely going to put their best foot forward in regards to just the budget. And of course, anytime I think when it comes to WB or DC animation, they usually always knock it out of the park. So I'm pretty confident in this one. But just the artistry, I'm really eager to kind of see how they showcase Mesoamerica. And just the landscape that this movie is certainly going to take place in. So I'm really fascinated to learn more about this character in that time period. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Batman Azteca coming to HBO Max. And then last but not least, Stuart, we'll wrap up honorable mentions here with a little Power Ranger talk for you. I don't know if you wind up catching it this past week, but when it comes to Power Rangers and their new reboot and reimagined world, Jonathan Entwistle is still very much attached to that particular project, but we have officially been announced that they have a showrunner in place for the Power Ranger Netflix series, as Jenny Klein has in fact stepped up to go ahead and be the next showrunner for Power Rangers here. We did go ahead and do a individual video for this earlier in the week. So if you did miss out on it, you can definitely go ahead and check it out. But I haven't had the opportunity to pick your brain in regards to this, Stuart, as this is a really big sort of step forward in regards to development for Power Rangers on Netflix. But the live action series, which looks to be now the main series, it looks like it's got Jenny Klein attached as co-executive producer and showrunner for this. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm excited to know that, if they have a showrunner for this, then it's clearly moving forward and they clearly have to have somewhat of a plan. I'm not sure if it's like they have the idea of what type of team they want to go with the show, or, how exactly it's going to tie into the movie. But, we know that they at least know enough to have a showrunner. So, to me, that's a great first step. And I'm really excited to see more. Unfortunately, I don't really know much about her and what she's worked on. So I have no idea whether or not she's going to be a good showrunner or not. But I'm just excited they have one to begin with.
Well, yeah, let me break this down a little bit more because the report did come from Deadline. Jenny Klein. The thing about Pam is where her most recent show was. I believe it was like a six-parter with Renee Zellweger. But it's the thing about Pam on NBC. I think you can find it on Peacock. It says that she signed an overall deal for television content with Entertainment One. It's a 2-year deal. So she's not only going to be working on Power Rangers, but she will also be creating other shows as well. But it says, yeah, she will serve as a showrunner for E1's Power Rangers series that's currently in development at Netflix. She'll collaborate with on this series with Jonathan Entwistle, who's overseeing the Power Ranger universe under the deal. It says building this partnership with Jenny, whose talent and passions transcends genres, is an exciting moment for us. We believe that her distinct vision makes her the perfect fit to help us develop Hasbro's deep library of IP. So I have seen her do a lot of executive work, executive producing work, and writing as well. So if anything, I would assume her coming into this Star Wars series, I would assume that not only is she going to showrun in regards to being the creative vision for what the show is going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if she writes a little bit also. So for me, I am kind of curious to see what other directors she certainly might bring on board to go ahead and direct this series, and if she brings on any additional writers, because I'm kind of under the impression maybe she might be the one of the main writers at least for this series, but she's definitely going to be putting all the connective pieces together to certainly make the show happen, and really be the guiding light for what the vision of this series is certainly going to be. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, Stuart. I really am.
Do you know if Brian Edward Hill is still going to be involved with it? Because he's one of the writers for. He was supposed to be one of the writers for the movies, from what I understand.
Yeah, as far as I know, he is still the writer for the movie. In regards to his involvement in the bigger picture of the overall universe, I don't know. I have a feeling that he's just set as the writer. I haven't heard him announce for anything else. So I think him and Jonathan Entwistle are working on that. I am curious if Jonathan Entwistle, I believe Jin Saku this week in one of his teases mentioned that Entwistle may be doing some directing work of his own. So I think it definitely will be a collaborative effort, as they said, between Entwistle and Jenny Klein to go ahead and bring this to life. But if you go and check out some of her past work, especially most recently, The Thing About Pam, it can get pretty dark, man. It can definitely get pretty dark from time to time. So I definitely have my belief that it's certainly going to be a little bit more of a mature series. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really interested to see how Jonathan Entwistle and them craft this new universe. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below if this is your first time hearing about it. Let's see here. Let me give some shout outs to some people.
While you're doing that, I got to go plug in my Ethernet cord. I just realized I completely forgot to do that.
Oh, yeah, go for it, man. I got you. I'll know when you come back. We got, let's see here, some quick shout outs to some people in the house today. We got Francois here as well. Mr. Chris Crossman certainly in the house too. The most talented man in the world. I suck my own balls is here. We got Jackson Peterson, good old Jericho in the house. Carlo Bernardo is here also. Good old Michael Rhymes certainly coming through today. We got Kurt Marino, good old Danny Morales, Carter Matthews in the house. Ibase certainly gracing us with his presence today, along with Roberto. Thank you very much, John Schuyler, for certainly coming through. Triceratops. I'm assuming you're a big Billy fan, certainly growing up. Because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. What's up, Jack Daniels? Good to see you. And of course, Nicole Robertson certainly gracing us with her presence. Who else we got? Marcelino Vasquez is in the house today. Enrique Perez. He says, I just saw the Lightyear film and it was amazing. Also, I saw a teaser for a new Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation special. Man, I tell you, Lego in these movies, they just keep coming up with brand new ideas and dropping movies left and right from time to time. But I'm glad you liked the Lightyear film. I've heard some pretty good things about it. Let's see here. Marcelino says, hey guys, found out when watching Stranger Things Season 4, a Power Ranger actor from Jungle Fury played a Russian soldier, and I'm watching David Attenborough's Prehistoric Planet, and it's good. I've been wanting to check out the Prehistoric Planet, so thank you very much for the recommendation. But yeah, I didn't know that there was a Power Ranger actor from Jungle Fury in as a Russian soldier in Stranger Things Season 4. It's got me wondering who he was now. Good old Datilla in the house saying, hey, happy Father's Day, Adam. Thank you very much, Datilla. It was a fantastic day. You know, even though I did spend half my Sunday at the convention center doing some coverage, I was only there for maybe like 2-3 hours by myself, and I eventually just decided to go home. There really wasn't that much stuff that was going on Sunday, but I just felt a need to I was like, I really want to be with my family today, and so I definitely spent most of my Sunday headed back home. We got good old Tarek the Mofo Knight. What's up, AJ? Good to see you in here, man. And Enrique says, is there going to be more Power Ranger news at Power Morphicon? More than likely. But we'll see what happens. Good to have you back, Stuart. Good to have you, buddy. And if that's out of the way, are you ready to get into some main topics with me today, bro?
I am. Currently, I'm looking through like the actors in Jungle Fury to see if I can figure out which one was in Stranger Things, because I don't remember seeing any of them.
Yeah, unless they were just as a background, like extra or something like that. Like I wonder, I wouldn't be surprised if their character didn't even have a name if it was like Soldier Number 2, you know, in one of the scenes.
Oh, okay. It was
RJ.
The other RJ's friend from Jungle Fury. Crap, what was his name? But he played Ivan. I believe isn't that the guard that was actually helping Hopper out in season 4?
If it was, that'd be kind of weird because he was in Game of Thrones too.
Oh, was
The,
he?
the guard that was helping Hopper, at least.
Oh, dang. He was also in Daredevil. He played Vladimir.
The hell? Okay, yeah, maybe I'll have to go back and check that
Yeah.
out. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Okay, so this actor's actually done a lot of things since Jungle Fury. I didn't realize that.
Impressive, man.
And again,
Yeah,
Jungle Fury had some actors that ended up being in Matrix later on, so that doesn't surprise me too much.
that's true. Also, yeah, Marcelino says his name is Nikolov. I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some main topics for you guys today as we go ahead and yeah, jump into these main topics. As we got 6 that we're going to be breaking down, and then we're getting to some of your guys' live viewer questions. But first and foremost, off the top, we're going to go ahead and jump into the television side of things. Because listen, guys, I don't even remember when this season completed itself, Stuart. Was this like 2 years ago, maybe? We wind up getting the series finale for Game of Thrones in its final season, season 8, a show that was loved by millions, and then probably hated by millions after the season finale. It's amazing how quickly people will turn on something that's been so good for majority of its time. But a lot of people felt some type of way when it comes to season 8. In regards to how certainly things wrapped up, the idea of maybe not following along any longer with George R.R. Martin's work and really kind of continuing on and wrapping up the story themselves, if you will. And so while we've had the time, Stuart, I feel like to sit with this heavy burden that is Game of Thrones season finale over the past couple of years, we continue to see that when it comes to HBO Max and Game of Thrones, they have a plethora of ideas that they're still pushing out, right? We're supposed to be getting ourselves a House of the Dragons prequel series that's going to be dropping later on this year. There are countless other sort of spin-offs and prequels that are certainly in the work when it comes to Game of Thrones. So HBO is very fully committed, if anything, to stay in this world. And just as a reminder of that, they did just recently sign a brand new deal with George R.R. Martin. I think it was a 5-year deal back in 2021. So HBO is very much invested. But as far as we knew as a viewer, Stuart, after season 8's series finale, we figured that was it with the main storyline, with these characters, that we were officially wrapping up. Well, Stuart, as of this past week, man, there seemingly is a sequel involved, perhaps in early development, but it seems as though good old Jon Snow might in fact be returning, Stuart. And this kind of really excites me in the sense of how exactly is this going to work? So let's go ahead and dive into this article, Stuart. Again, this comes to us from good old Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series in development at HBO Max. And honestly, so before I even read this article, I'm super excited for this. I'm super pumped for this. Bring Kit Harington back, and I'm on board. It says that, let's see here. It says this is a you know nothing about HBO's post Game of Thrones plan, as a great little nod to Jon Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow. The network has entered into early development on its first sequel to its blockbuster fantasy drama, a live-action spin-off series centered on the fan favorite character Jon Snow. Kit Harington is attached to reprise the role should a series move forward. The actor was twice nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of an action hero who struggles to uphold his family's noble values in this brutal world. It does say that in Thrones' 8th and final season, Jon Snow discovered his true name was Aegon Targaryen, a potential heir to the Iron Throne. In the series finale, he was exiled from Westeros and journeyed north of the Wall with the wildlings to leave his old life behind. It does say that he's been in a couple other things since then, but it says that the development signals an intriguing new direction in HBO's handling of George R.R. Martin's fantasy universe, a move not unlike Disney's management of its Star Wars and Marvel brands, where the streamer has found success launching character-focused sequel series such as WandaVision and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It does say here, it says Perhaps most boldly, from a creative standpoint, the project would upend Throne's final season as the last word on the fates of these surviving characters and HBO's most popular and Emmy-winning series of all time. In theory, the project could open the door for other surviving characters from the Throne's universe, such as Arya Stark, Sansa Stark, Brienne of Tarth, and the list goes on and on. It says this development news means that there are now 7 Game of Thrones projects in the works, in addition to the upcoming House of Dragons prequel, which is set to go ahead and debut on August 21st. So let me dive into this real quick here first, Stuart, because I do want to tackle this last paragraph real quick. So yes, there are 7 Game of Thrones projects currently in the works. And trust me when I say, guys, not all of those are going to see the light of day. Some things get greenlit, some things certainly don't. Anytime you get in early development, it really just depends on, I guess, really anticipation, excitement level, what's really working for them. I see as they start seeing pieces kind of eventually come together. And I think there's even some animation that Game of Thrones is going to be diving into also. So I wouldn't feel so overwhelmed because trust me, while we have already had Game of Thrones series, prequel series announced, some, believe it or not, have already gotten canceled. And we, again, that still leaves us with like 7 things possibly in development. So House of the Dragon is definitely one. But Stuart, if you ask me, I know that this is in early development. I know that they've got plenty of other stuff that they're currently working on. You tell me Kit Harington is attached to this project. This project has got to move to the front of the line. Personally, I think maybe they've got 1 or 2 other things that are pretty much further along, but I got to think that they are certainly taking this Jon Snow sequel series very seriously, especially if they know they've got the main star attached and open to the idea of certainly coming back. This is definitely something that as HBO, I certainly would like to have greenlit. Because listen, Stuart, on my Facebook page, one of the things that I mentioned because I even shared this article on my Facebook page, I said, guys, don't lie to yourselves. Don't lie to yourselves. I know you're excited about this series. I know people are butthurt. They weren't biggest fans of how season 8 ended. We had 2 years to trash it. Guys, put that hate away. Put that hate away. That bottle of haterade you're drinking, put it down, please. Put that cap back on and just embrace the idea that there's a potential that we get more Game of Thrones after this season finale, after that particular series finale. I think there's a ton of stories to tell. And I think for me, if there's anything that really fascinates me about this news, how attached is George R. Martin to this? There's a part of me that thinks that he's got to be somewhat invested with the writers of this particular series, maybe giving them guidelines, if anything, in regards to the future of Jon Snow. I mean, look, the guy hasn't even finished the book in which Game of Thrones was based on. So he's way behind the 8 ball already. But I got to think just from a creative standpoint, these are his characters, despite him having to deal with HBO and they can kind of use them. However, I got to think when it comes to this Jon Snow series, he's got to be at least involved at some particular point in time. But I definitely want this. I would love to see more Kit Harington as Jon Snow, especially with him going further north now after the events. And the article even brings up the idea that this could open the door for other things. And while I was probably the first person in the front of the line saying, give me an Arya Stark series, the fact that the article also mentioned Brienne of Tarth, was it Brienne of Tarth? I need some Gwendolyn Christie in my life. I think she would be fantastic to have her own show and follow her certainly going forward. So I see the potential here. I really love the idea of tackling the future of Game of Thrones and pushing forward. Nothing wrong with certainly going back, world building with all these fantastic prequels. But the idea of knowing that we can continue to follow along with these characters, I definitely need it in my life. And I think there'll be some people out there apologizing for the way that they acted after Game of Thrones and are now hopefully saying, please bring it on. But what do you think, Stuart? Let me throw this over to you. You hear this article, the potential of what this series could possibly be. What are your thoughts on a return of a Jon Snow sequel series to Game of Thrones?
I'm going to be totally real with you. So I am looking
Do
forward
it,
to
bro.
this, and I will definitely be watching this. But I'm going to say that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get into this show than it will be the other Game of Thrones spinoff show, because the thing is, the spinoff show being a prequel means that I can watch it and not have to really think about how it's all going to end in the long run. The problem is getting into the first episode of that Jon Snow spinoff, you're going to have to, in some way, shape, or form, remember that ending of Game of Thrones, and you're going to remember how, like, you were really invested in this show, and then even when it started to fall off the rails a little bit during season 6, you're kind of like, it's all going to be okay, because it's building up to something incredible. And then you're going to remember how, like, you had an entire season that was really just like Rise of Skywalker if it was expanded into like 6 episodes, and you're going to get a little bit disappointed. But then, once you hit episode 2, once they get past that, it's all going to be okay. But it's just that first episode you got to get through. You got to get through that reminder, essentially, of what happened at the end. But I feel like once I get past that part of the show, and then it just goes and becomes its own thing with Jon Snow, that'll be when I'll start to really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you definitely make a great point. There definitely going to be some animosity held on, especially as you get those friendly reminders in episode 1. But yeah, take a deep breath, guys. Episode 2 of this show, hopefully smooth sailing. I guess for me, it's just the idea of who are the writers going to be? How close is George R. R. Martin certainly going to be involved in this? Is this a case of, because they don't have any material really to base it off of, do they feel a little bit more free to kind of create what they want? Or will there be Game of Thrones people that purists of the book, if they'll certainly feel some type of way about the idea of this Jon Snow series even happening in the first place? What do you think? You think there'll be some pushback for some purists?
I mean, I hope there's a little bit of both in terms of the writing team. Like, I hope we get enough people on the writing team that are really purists on the book to be like, hey, as cool as it would be to do something like this, think about logistically how it wouldn't fit in this world. But I also hope we do have those people that want to take advantage of the fact that this is like after Game of Thrones, and now they have like the most flexibility, you could possibly have with Game of Thrones. Because even with prequels, even if you're taking place like thousands of years before, whatever happens in the current Game of Thrones show, you still have to keep in mind that you can't like fully change the world if it's going to break continuity. Whereas like they don't have to worry about that to an extent. They don't have to worry about that as much with the Jon Snow show. So that's one thing that gets me extremely excited for this one.
Yeah, it feels very much like they get the chance to just play in this open sandbox now. Like their Game of Thrones series is really what laid the groundwork in that world that we're kind of in now. And now that we don't really have any connective tissues, if anything, well, there clearly will be connective tissues, but I do wonder if like George R. R. Martin, if he's got like cliff notes, of like events that might have happened after the events of his books. Maybe if it's just like 1 or 2 pages of potential future novels or work that he certainly had in mind. I wonder if maybe they're basing some of their story off of some of his ideas as to where Jon Snow kind of goes after that. But you're right. I mean, the idea that this is like a blank canvas now, it should be pretty cool to kind of see what they create and go from there. And for me, I like the idea of having that open canvas, but yet you look at something like a House of the Dragon, and that's pretty much based off of written material already, right? Adapted from the novels that he's sort of written. So we get a little bit of best of both worlds, I think, when it comes to these series that HBO is developing.
Oh, I forgot I was muted. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, go ahead and certainly let us know your thoughts. Marcelino says maybe Jon Snow and the other spinoffs can help fix season 8, since everyone today wants to fix every bad movie or TV show. And listen, I do think that I think there's something to that, Marcelino, right? Like the idea of everybody saying redo season 8, like they're not going to redo season 8, but you can use the Jon Snow series to maybe fill in some gaps or fix what some people might feel was broken. I personally didn't have a problem with it. I really enjoyed the series as a whole and season 8. I can understand the jumping back and forth, maybe the quick pace a little bit to it, but I personally it didn't bother me to that extent. But I do think there's something to that, Stuart, what Marcelino was saying in here, the idea that maybe this could help benefit season 8 in the long run. What do you think, though?
I don't think so, because like everything I didn't like about season 8. You know, it's one of those things where it's like it happened and you can't really change anything about it without some really terrible writing. So I kind of rather than just leave the ending alone, just kind of accept it for what it was, but you know, actually move on. I mean, look at Rise. Sorry to go back to this movie, but look at Rise of Skywalker when it tried to, you know, fix the mistakes of The Last Jedi, and all you kind of ended up doing was making it seem like it kind of just made me end up not necessarily disliking Last Jedi, but just liking it a lot less, because it's like, oh, now I know that, you know, watching The Last Jedi, everything in the next movie is just going to be talked about as if, oh, remember how dumb this was, you know?
Well, I'm waiting, but I don't see that Jon Snow as like the entire series is based off of the idea of like, hey, let's just correct our mistakes. You know,
Oh no,
that's what Rise of Skywalker felt like. Was that the entire movie felt like it was trying to make up for everything in the past. Whereas this, I can see maybe a perspective of Jon Snow that we haven't heard him mention, like his thoughts on what happened with, you know, Emilia Clarke's character, you know, the mother of dragons. Like, I think maybe just the idea of a perspective, a point of view, just hearing a character have a line or two to maybe add to maybe the storyline that happened in season 8. I think little things like that can maybe really go a long way. So yeah, maybe not too much of a focus, but I do think maybe hearing other characters' perspectives of maybe the events of what happened in season 8, maybe makes it a little bit easier for the audience to kind of swallow. But so I don't know. I think Marcelino has something there. I do think that there are issues or certain things here or there that they can bring up, but as long as it doesn't dictate the entire Jon Snow show, then yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that then.
Yeah, if they did something like that, I'd actually be totally cool with that. But if they, you know, like let's say they had something where it was like Jon Snow runs into a witch and this witch turns out to be the one that made Daenerys go crazy at the end. If they did
Oh
something like
yeah,
that, I'd be
right.
like, no, I
Yeah,
get what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
do, but
Yeah,
don't.
not a retconning, but maybe just a better understanding coming from a perspective of another character as to what happened. That maybe the audience be like, oh, okay, well, if the character's viewing it that way, then you know, I can see how the events wind up taking place in season 8. So yeah, just little things like that. Just one little scene here or there. But I definitely get what you're saying there for sure. Do you think Emilia Clarke pops up in this?
Oh my god, it'd be crazy not to have her for at least like kind of a cameo, because I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
she and Jon Snow were like super in love towards the end, so I feel like she's got to appear like at least in a dream or something.
Yeah, I gotta imagine. But look, I love this. Look, Kit Harington's gonna be busy when it comes to Marvel Studios as the Black Knight. You know, outside of that, I don't think he's been doing too much of anything. Although it did say that he did play in a stage show. I think it was Henry V. So he definitely been keeping his acting chops up to par. But yeah, I would love to see him return as Jon Snow. My worry is though, unfortunately, I do think he's getting typecast now. You know,
Yeah.
you're just going to be that night guy, and maybe some romantic comedies, or if we could, or some, you know, some romantic films. We'll certainly see. But yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts in regards to the Jon Snow sequel series for Game of Thrones. Again, in early development, so it certainly still has a long way to go. But as the series does get developed, if it does get greenlit, we'll definitely continue to keep you posted. Do you think that this gets greenlit, Stuart?
Oh, honestly, I thought it already was. Yeah, I would be kind of surprised if it didn't, because you know, regardless of what people think about with the Game of Thrones, everyone loves Jon Snow and everyone loves Kit Harington. So I feel like an opportunity to see Jon Snow back would, you know, drive the fans crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah, early development, I always see very much as tentative, in a sense that this is something they definitely would like to work and bring to the big screen, but anything could happen at this particular point in time until they're fully kind of invested. So we'll see how the momentum continues for this, but I need this. I need this in my life, Stuart.
What's funny is like you mentioned like earlier in the article how they had like 7 in development, but like with us both kind of agreeing that I don't think like it's going to be like they have 7 shows that are going to come out. I
Right.
think it's more like they have 7 ideas.
Mhm.
What I think it kind of came from was like the very end of Game of Thrones, when we see all the characters kind of going their separate ways. I
Right.
feel like that was what they were trying to do, was like come up with different ideas of where they could do spin-off shows, and really just kind of waiting to see fan reactions of what they think fans would want to see, and then kind of going from there. So I think they technically, like, Arya, being a sailor now, and then Bronn now having his own kingdom. I think those were all kind of set up to be like spin-off shows at some point.
Yeah, because I definitely would love to see, especially you're right, because it very much felt like it had that Lord of the Rings ending, where almost like everybody got a little bit of an ending of their own to wrap up their stories. But yeah, Arya was definitely one I would love to see. Maisie Williams certainly return. Yeah, and I think Brienne would be really really fun. Having Gwendolyn Christie certainly come back and do some work in the Game of Thrones world. So we'll see, guys, but we'll definitely keep you posted on all the Game of Thrones series that are in development as we continue forward. All right. Other than that, let's move on to our next topic, and we'll go ahead and dive into the world of DC. Stewart, this is a big one, man. We this actually dropped early last week. We didn't get the opportunity to talk about it in the midweek for a midweek episode, so we've been holding on to this for quite some time. But listen, the previous A Plus Hero Report, we talked highly about the idea that a Joker 2 is headed our way after the very successful first Joker by Todd Phillips that crossed over $1 billion. It was like it was almost just a matter of time before a sequel was certainly set to go ahead and arrive. Not that I personally felt that this movie needed a sequel. I still kind of miss the idea of standalone movies from time to time, and I thought Joker did a marvelous job in doing just that. But when you make $1 billion at the box office, people are certainly going to go ahead and want more. And Todd Phillips has always been open about the idea, like, hey, I would certainly return to Joker, but I would only return if I had a great idea and if Joaquin Phoenix was certainly on board. And so over the past week or so, we have been seeing not only the script for Joker 2, but also Joaquin Phoenix reading the script. So it feels like this is certainly moving full steam ahead. And Stuart, we had another wrinkle here this week, a huge announcement to add on top of Joker 2 here for future involvement as to who else is going to be involved in this series. And Stuart, it looks like good old Lady Gaga. That's right. That's right. Lady Gaga has in fact been attached to the upcoming Joker 2, and she is set to go ahead and play none other than good old Harley Quinn herself, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and dive into this, as this is the Hollywood Reporter reporting that for Joker 2, Lady Gaga in early talks to join Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, and also the other shoe has dropped here, Stuart, in a musical sequel. A musical sequel, High School Musical and Joker crossover event confirmed. Let's see what this is going to be like, though, Stuart. We've got the Joker is back, and this time he's bringing a friend. Lady Gaga is in early talks to star opposite Joaquin Phoenix and director Todd Phillips' sequel to Joker, the Oscar-winning $1 billion grossing film. It says Phillips has been writing the script with Joker co-writer Scott Silver for some time and has finally shown it to the studio. Last week, Phillips revealed on social media the title of the project, Joker Folie à Deux, referencing a medical term for an identical or similar mental disorder that affects 2 or more individuals, usually members of the same family. And while the same social media post showed Phoenix reading the script, the actor's involvement is not exactly, I'm assuming, official just as of yet, sources tell Hollywood Reporter. But the two sides are currently deep in it. So it looks like Joaquin Phoenix and Warner Brothers are currently in negotiations right now. And now we've got Lady Gaga. Enter Gaga. It says details of her character are being kept under wraps, but Joker is known for his on and off abusive relationship with Harley Quinn, his psychiatrist at the Arkham Asylum Mental Institution, who falls in love with him and becomes his sidekick and partner in crime. It is unclear whether Phillips and company are using other DC characters or striking out on their own as they did in many instances with the first movie. If the deal makes, Gaga would play Quinn. However, this new Quinn exists in a different DC universe than Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, as we should certainly all know. But wait, that's not all. Sources say the sequel is also a musical, Stuart. So Lady Gaga coming in to go ahead and play Harley Quinn. As long as the deal works itself out, again, they are currently in early talks. So these negotiations certainly could fall apart at any point in time. But it seems as though Joaquin Phoenix is in discussion. Lady Gaga's in discussion to play Harley Quinn, and Joker 2 is set to be a musical. Stuart, let me go over to you and get your thoughts on all this craziness. What do you think about this news we hear today?
I mean, I definitely got some questions for sure. I'm more than anything, I'm just extremely intrigued. I wasn't really down with the idea of a Joker 2, but now finding out that this one's going to be a musical, it definitely has me intrigued. I'm kind of curious if by musical, do they mean like kind of your traditional musical where people can break into song non-diegetically and then just sing about their feelings and it not being weird? Or is it going to be like a musical in the sense that there's just a lot of music in the movie enough to justify it being called a musical? And then the other kind of question I got is whether or not this is going to be a musical with like original music, or is this going to be like a jukebox musical? But
Oh, I
regardless,
see what you mean.
I think the fact that I'm asking all these questions kind of shows that I'm actually like kind of excited to see what they do with this movie, which is something I wouldn't have said before this article, because again, like I just didn't really think Joker needed a sequel. But if they're gonna take it into a completely different direction, make it very different from the first movie, then I think I'm actually down for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because I'm totally in agreement. I think the idea of us maybe not even thinking the Joker needed a movie, but now you're approaching a sequel in a completely different way that I certainly was not expecting. So I am actually kind of intrigued to kind of see what this movie is going to turn out to be. We also did get some great fan art, if you will, in regards to showcasing Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. I thought this piece was actually pretty cool to kind of see. I don't know who did the photoshopping and all the artwork on this, but I thought that was a cool shot. And then we even had good, of course, Boss Logic has got to come through with a rendition of his version of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn in here also. So incredible stuff, man. Incredible stuff. But I'm right there with you, Stuart. You know, I will say this: the idea of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind. But Lady Gaga is such an incredible actress. I feel like anything that I've seen her in, she just impresses me. If you have not seen Lady Gaga in film or perform, not only is she just a talent when it comes to music, but that talent it definitely goes to acting performances too. Can you look up real quick, Stuart, Lady Gaga on IMDb? I'm curious. I don't know if she's won any awards, but I believe she's definitely been nominated for some. I could be wrong, and kind of give us an idea of what else she's been in. But I think if you're looking for somebody to as far as like a counter to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, Lady Gaga can honestly perform with the best of them, if you ask me. And I think her being thrusted into this role would be fantastic. She's already got that musical background already, so the idea of Joker 2 falling into the category of a musical feels like right up her alley too. Joaquin Phoenix is no slouch. If you remember, he played Johnny Cash also, and I think he might have sang and performed some of his own songs, or did a lot of the singing himself too. I would assume, if not in the Johnny Cash movie, then definitely sometime in his career. So these are extremely two talented actors that we're talking about in Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix. And if you want to put them together as two deranged lovers turned musical and just breaking out into song and dance, I feel like that's what we're gonna get, Stuart. Like, I'm kind of hoping it's original music. And I really want to see Harley Quinn and Joker singing and dancing to each other. Like, give me something straight out of La La Land, but in this twisted mind that is the Joker inside of Arkham Asylum, and these two crazies just in their mind, just expressing this type of love and partnership and craziness and crime. Yeah, man, I'm actually I'm really interested in what they certainly have. I think had it not been Lady Gaga and just somebody random, maybe the idea of a musical would still be interesting to me. But knowing that they've got somebody in Gaga that can do both sides, yeah, man, I think this is a huge score and a huge win, and definitely what you need to not only shake up the idea of a sequel, but like you mentioned, giving us something new, unique, and creative. And I know musicals aren't for everybody, but there is something really special about Joker and the Harley Quinn that I can think like if you are going to do something crazy like that, these are definitely the two that I think can honestly pull it off, man. So I'm really looking forward to this, Stuart, more than I thought I would be.
Same here. And okay, so looking up her award, she did get an Oscar for Best Original Song, but she has also been nominated over 199 times for just different awards. She's won 79 altogether. And I think it's like a mixture of Best Actress for some and then Best Original Song for others because she does a lot of music for movies. But yeah, she does have that going for her. And yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I do actually like her as an actress too. Because some of the things I've seen her in, like Men in Black 3, American Horror Story, and of course,
Yeah.
Machete Kills. Like, I think she actually does pretty good in all those roles.
She
And
was
plus,
also
like, they're all very different type of movies, and she does, so it kind of shows that she also has range in whatever type of acting role she's doing.
Yeah, and I think she just did one too, The House of Versace, I believe, with
Oh,
like Adam
House of Gucci, yeah.
Gucci, yeah, that House of Gucci with Adam Driver. I heard she did a remarkable job in that too, and I'm sure there's a couple dramas that she probably has under her belt. So she definitely has range, to say the least, when it comes to her acting chops.
The one she got nominated for, I actually haven't seen this movie, which a lot of people I know are going to give me shit for this, but she was also in A Star is Born, which was like
Yes.
a really big movie when that came out.
Yes, that's another one also. So yeah, Lady Gaga certainly no slouch. And so I think this is be a great find. Todd Phillips, man, I cannot wait to see what the script and what this movie turns out to be. And I hope negotiations certainly do go well. Again, I think the idea of Joaquin Phoenix even being entertained at the idea of coming back, you got to have a script that really, really works for him. And if it's the idea of a musical to really like spice things up for his crazy ass character already, yeah, bring it on, man. This should be a stellar film.
For
But
sure.
yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat. Remember, at the end of the day, these are just our A plus opinions, but we always want to go ahead and know yours. What are your thoughts on the idea of Lady Gaga set to play Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker sequel? And how do you feel about the idea of it being a musical? Does it throw you off? Are you all of a sudden not interested? Or does the concept of the Joker and Harley Quinn in a La La Land type of musical something that you're kind of interested in? Go ahead and certainly let us know your thoughts and maybe some of your concerns in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And with that, Stuart, out of the way, we will move on to our next topic. We'll stay in the realm of DC. And this is a topic that, man, is just continues to get worse and worse, Stuart.
We're moving from a fictional Joker to a real life Joker.
Absolutely. And his name is Ezra Miller. As he continues to find himself in worse and worse situations, as his luck just continues to just fall down the drain, as this man just continues to show his true colors. And it definitely continues to push Warner Brothers Discovery to truly having to make some incredibly tough decisions. Probably not from a moral standpoint, but clearly from a business standpoint for them. But let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. We're just going to go ahead and dive into this because Ezra Miller is back in the news again, not for good reasons whatsoever. I believe right now, Stuart, Homeboy is like missing. I don't even, for some of the reports I believe that they've been trying to reach out to this guy. He had a court hearing he was supposed to go to. Homeboy's missing. They haven't been able to find him or the people that they've associated him with in regards to it. So let's go ahead and dive into this and truly see, Stuart, is there any saving this Flash movie? What will David Zaslav do when it comes to Warner Brothers Discovery and Ezra Miller? Let's go ahead and dive into this. So we're going to go ahead and keep you guys caught up here in regards to what's going on, not only with Warner Brothers Discovery, but also Ezra Miller. This is from deadline.com. It says Zaslav's first movie crisis. What to do with Ezra Miller? The erratic star of Warner Brothers' $200 million film, The Flash franchise launch. It says even though it's isn't one of Warner Brothers' release calendar until June 23rd of next year, The Flash is becoming Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's first movie crisis because of the escalating coverage of incidents of volatile and odd behavior, including the film star Ezra Miller. It says Zaslav made clear his desire to grow the DC universe to MCU scale and has all the ingredients of a first foot forward in the Flash movie, including the return of Michael Keaton as Batman, along with a reprise by Ben Affleck, a $200 million budget, and a hot director in Andy Muschietti, who delivered the blockbuster It's for the studio. So they're not lying there, Stuart. There's a lot riding on this movie and potential for this movie to be great. It says the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO exercised his well-known penchant for micromanaging by declining to greenlight Wonder Twins for being too niche. Zaslav will have to soon make a decision of what to do with a completed picture that is The Flash and what to do with the young actor who appears to have serious offset issues. It says Deadline has heard that the studio has tried to get help for Miller, but the troubling headlines continue to pile up. So their Deadline sources are hearing that the studio is attempting to help Miller in some way or another. Could you see a potential liability on a global publicity tour and having the actor anchor a huge studio franchise play? Absolutely. It says Zaslav has several choices and he will make one of them soon. Among them, he can pull back on heavily promoting the summer 2023 film, confining it to some P&A and no publicity tour, or he can regulate it to streaming with HBO Max and take a write down. And in other words, eat that $200 million, which would certainly hurt, I'm sure, or lean in towards making the movie a hit and then drop Miller if they can straighten things out. Warner Brothers did that when it dropped Johnny Depp from the Grindelwald character in the Fantastic Beasts franchise after the actor's well-publicized UK lawsuit. Sources say there's no winning this for Warner Brothers. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released, and hope for the best to turn out. Sources said even if no more allegations surface, the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role in future DC films. That would mean replacing him in the future, but there is still a $200 million investment on the line with the first film, and Warner Brothers execs have been cringing at each new press report. There's more to it, but Stuart, I just wanted to pick your brain real quick just on this section right here, that there's no winning in this for Warner Brothers. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released, and hope for the best to turn out. And even if there are no more allegations to surface, the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role in future DC films. What do you think about that?
Well, I think one thing they don't have to worry as much about, like they did with Fantastic Beasts, is the whole thing with Depp and them firing him after the second movie rather than, before they started to film it. And then, not having him for the third movie, that bit them in the butt because then, immediately after he was fired, or after he got fired for the third movie, that was when people were starting to take his side. So people were actually really pissed off at Warner Brothers for doing so. So the one thing that they got going for them with Ezra Miller is I'm pretty sure that won't be the case, because unlike Depp, there's a lot to show that Ezra is actually guilty for a lot of these allegations. So that's kind of the one advantage they'd have if they did want to wait. But at the same time, I do think that also waiting that long would also be kind of a mistake, just, kind of for reasons we brought up before, because then it just kind of seems like you're turning the other cheek, not doing anything. Of course, I'm sure they have, as they even say in the article, people trying really hard to locate him and help him out and everything like that. But the thing is, because this is like stuff that isn't necessarily being publicly announced by Warner Brothers, you got to imagine that like a lot of people that don't actually read the articles when it comes to this kind of stuff, they only look at the headlines. They're not going to know about that kind of thing. So, I think right now, hopefully they don't wait too much longer, but I think at the very least, they should at least make a statement about it going forward, like sometime within the next week or two.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm kind of surprised. I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I kind of do feel like, especially with the Ezra Miller stuff is going right now, they really should make some sort of announcement or a press release to just kind of get an idea of what's going on. In regards to the Warner Brothers executives having to be cringing at each new press report, just so you get the idea of what it is that Miller is facing right now. It says there have been two more rounds of unflattering headlines just in the last 2 weeks for the 29-year-old Miller, who identifies as non binary. It says the Daily Beast reported that there was a temporary harassment prevention order this week from a 12-year-old and a mother in Greenfield, Massachusetts, against the actor after Miller allegedly menaced the family and acted inappropriately towards the non-binary child. So we're talking about a 12-year-old here dealing with temporary harassment prevention order. And then it says last week, the parents of an 18-year-old named Tokata Iron Eyes filed a paperwork asking the judge to issue an order of protection against the actor on behalf of their child, saying Miller groomed and brainwashed Takata. And I think they mentioned the idea when this article first broke, that Miller was grooming her, yeah, ever since a really young age. I think I want to say 12 or 13-year-old as well. And now Takata is 18. It says, this is what the parents said. Ezra uses violence, intimidation, threat of violence, fear, paranoia, delusions, and drugs to hold sway over a young adolescent. Takata read the filing, which was obtained by multiple outlets. The 18-year-old's parents alleged that the two met at Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota when the child was just 12. The parents alleged Miller gave Takata alcohol and drugs, flew the child to London and to places such as Vermont, New York, California, and Hawaii. This past week, Miller deleted his Instagram account in the face of the North Dakota tribal summons. The actor allegedly mocking authorities about their whereabouts. So he's just instigating it on and kind of poking the bear here. And Takata did come out, the daughter did come out and talk about the idea she's an adult now type of thing, 18 years old. And she probably she's probably right in that regard. She is 18 years old. She is her own woman. But I think the troubling aspect is that, again, he's grooming these people. You know what I mean? The fact that, yes, she is 18 now, but what about the prior 6 years? You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're giving drugs to someone who was underage, even if they're 18 now and they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally cool
Right,
with it now as an
right,
adult, it's like,
right.
no, you're only just now 18 and this was happening to you when you were underage, so that's not okay.
This is look, man. I jokingly, and maybe I shouldn't joke about this, but jokingly, when I posted this article on Facebook, I said, "I hope the cell next to Allison Mack is ready from Smallville," because I'm like, the idea of the stuff that's going on here in Hollywood these days is pretty just cringy and just horrifying, man. To kind of just see that this is the mindset of Ezra Miller, and again, to make things worse, he's not taking this seriously at all.
Mhm.
Deleting his social media accounts, egging on the police. It's really disturbing stuff, man, and it's hard to. One, I feel terrible for the kids, the family of the parents and things like that. But to kind of see Ezra Miller going off the rails like this is really troubling, man. And so this is one of the reasons why I 100% agree with the idea that if Warner Brothers wants to go ahead and drop this dude, do it. Like
Mhm.
the article said, at this point, it feels very more than likely than not that even if the movie is released, that Ezra Miller is not going to be the Flash, certainly going forward. And he's just too much of a liability at this point. Before we know it, by the end of this year, this man may be in prison for all we know, the way that he's acting and the stuff that he can kind of get himself into. So I am hoping that they continue to at least try and get this man some help. I don't really know what to say anymore, Stuart, in the sense of like, I just hope thing. I hope that they figure some shit out, man, and Ezra Miller gets to pay for, or at least is held accountable for his actions. That's kind of taking place in here. But again, I would not want to be in David Zaslav's shoes to have to make this this decision. As for me, Ezra Miller would be out immediately. I agree with you, Stuart. I think they should go ahead and certainly make a press release at some point in time. I can see them still wanting to be hush hush and hoping that this resolves itself in time. But I just, there's a part of me that just can't imagine, Stuart, that you do not put this movie out still. I think you just have so much running on this damn film that you got to put this movie out in some way or another. Um, at this point, I would have to say just drop it on HBO Max. No promotional work, nothing. Don't talk about it, just quietly on a release date, bloop, and then just leave it at that. No press tours, don't interview nobody. And then once you drop it, put a release out. I would want the release now, even though again, this movie is about a year away. Maybe put another release out on the release of this movie in regards to parting ways with Ezra Miller. But there's no way that you can continue with this guy. There's just no way, Stuart.
Yeah, what I would probably, I don't know if this would be legal or if this would cost too much money, but because DC seems extremely confident with this upcoming Flashpoint movie, it seems like no matter what, they are for sure definitely going to be releasing it. I think if they're as confident as they claim they are, they should just pay to have Ezra's face deep faked out of the movie and just replace him with an actor that looks very similar. And I think I have two actors in mind that they could easily do it with. Actor number one, the guy from Eternals. He was the one who can control people.
The guy from the Joker?
Control people. Yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right.
He also played the Joker in the Batman.
Yeah. So I
separate
think
universe though. So yeah.
Yeah, so you could still use him as the Flash, and and again, he kind of looks similar to Ezra Miller. The other one, this guy looks exactly like Ezra Miller, like to the point where I had to look him up after seeing him on Stranger Things to make sure it wasn't. But the crazy D&D guy from Stranger Things season 4,
Munson, right? Was this some Eddie Munson? I think that
Eddie
was his
Munson.
name.
That was his name. Yeah,
I think Eddie. Yeah.
But I think the actor playing Eddie Munson could also be someone that you could deep fake into the Flash movie. I think just go with an actor that looks similar enough to him, so it would be a lot easier to deep fake. And then if you have a couple of shots where the deep fake effect goes off, but that way no one would really notice for those couple of shots. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would suggest they should do. I think they should just deep fake him. It'll be expensive, but they sound extremely confident in this movie. So if the movie does as well as they're hoping it's going to, it shouldn't matter. The cost of it shouldn't matter because they should be getting that money back regardless.
So I do like the idea of deep faking. I am kind of curious as to how much that would cost them to do. But again, going over just at least some of the choices that Zaslav made, let's go ahead and go over these three and see if you had to pick one as David Zaslav, which of these three would you pick? It says he can pull back on heavily promoting the summer film, confining it to, I don't even know what P and A means. Do you know what that means? Confining it to some P and A.
Press and I'm not sure what the A stands for.
Okay, and no publicity tour. So releasing it in theaters, just no publicity tour. Relegated to streaming with HBO Max and just write it off. Or lean in towards making the movie a hit, then drop Miller if they can't straighten things out. Like the idea for me, this last choice, or lean in make this movie a hit, then drop Miller if they can't straighten things out. Like I don't even know if I would want to straighten things out at this point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Based off of all the shit that he's gotten himself into, I just would not want to risk it. So do you put more money towards marketing, release this, make this a big film, and then drop Miller? Which out of the three would you go?
Man, I mean, I would, God, if it had to be out of the three, I would probably choose low-key marketing, not doing any press tours, but then still releasing it in theaters. I wouldn't, the number one I wouldn't want to do is I wouldn't want to release it on HBO Max. But I would try to, and I know this is cheating. I would try to get some kind of press thing going on. I just wouldn't let Ezra ever be on camera. I would just be like, here for the other actors that are in this movie, here talk to Supergirl, talk to Zod. They're in this movie too. Talk to Batman.
Yeah, no Ezra Miller questions, please.
Talk to Grant Gustin. There's rumors that he has a cameo.
I love it. So yeah, I mean, definitely has some issues that Warner Brothers certainly has to figure out. And God bless you, David Zaslav, for having to figure this shit out. So I'm glad that you're the executive and not me here. But guys, what do you think? Out of the choices that Warner Brothers Discovery has before them, and you hear the mounting allegations continue to build for Ezra Miller in the situation he's in, what do you think Warner Brothers should certainly do here? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, Stuart.
It is interesting though, because like one of the writers for the Flash movie, and I can kind of see this when you look at some of the interviews with Ezra Miller, but he was just kind of like mentioning that like everything that he's been hearing about Ezra, he's just like, yeah, that this sounds absolutely nothing like the guy that I met. I only met him once, obviously, like, so he wasn't trying to claim that he didn't do any of these things or anything like that, but he was saying that like, yeah, when I met Ezra was nothing like this at all. And I kind of get that vibe from the interviews. Like a lot of interviews I always saw with Ezra, I'm always like, okay, you know what? This guy actually seems like a cool person, outside of acting. But kind of goes to show you that even when actors are like, just in front of the camera talking about a movie for promoting it, basically, just note that actors are almost always putting on a performance, even when it seems genuine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do. I mean, there's also a part of me that wonders if this is something that's happened recently with Ezra Miller. If maybe since being brought on The Flash, something's clicked with him, or maybe fame's gotten to his head a little bit more, or he's been taking some drugs. Like, I don't know, like, has he been reading or listening to somebody that's kind of made him? Because I don't know. I feel like this is Ezra Miller for some reason is getting into like cult status for me, like cult leadership for me. When you start grooming people at young ages and they follow you religiously and defend you no matter what the situation is, right? Like they hold you above everything else. If the way that Ezra Miller talks and he handles himself, it just feels like some cult leader shit to me, man. And I just don't know where his mind went, where it almost feels like he thinks he's the smartest person in the room, where he thinks he knows more than anybody else, sort of thing, and it's kind of using that to his advantage. And being a big an actor and things like that, and having that power and sway over people, using that to take advantage of other people and underage children. I mean, it's really disgusting, man. And it's just I don't know if he's always been like this or if it's something that's changed as of recently in his head. But, regardless of what Warner Brothers does, even if he finds himself behind bars, or if these allegations do turn out to be worse and he lands himself into big trouble, I definitely want him to seek some help at some point in time. So at least it's interesting to at least hear that Warner Brothers is trying to get him help. How serious that is, though, coming from the source, who knows? But, yeah, it's all troubling. It's all troubling. But yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's go ahead and tackle our fourth topic here. We're going to go from DC to from DC to Marvel for you guys. As we've got ourselves a brand new MCU series certainly on the horizon. This is definitely brand new for us. We've never heard about this new upcoming MCU series until this week, and boy, is it one that I'm really, really interested in. Marvel has had quite the successful run when it comes to an MCU series so far. I mean, anywhere from WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all the way up to our current series that we have from Moon Knight to Miss Marvel. They continue to go ahead and push the boundaries. And one of those brand new characters that it seems like they're going to be trying to tackle here, Stuart, is none other than the infamous Avenger, Wonder Man. That's right, Wonder Man, Mr. Simon Williams himself, which I feel might have been rumored for quite some time, or theorized that people of a character that people certainly would like the opportunity to see. Well, it seems as though Wonder Man is going to be getting himself his brand new series over on Disney Plus. So let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart, because when it comes to Wonder Man, there is a bunch of connective tissues between Scarlet Witch along with Vision, and it'll be interesting to see if that's the route that they certainly go. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see exactly who's attached to this Wonder Man project, Stuart. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. It says Marvel is developing a Wonder Man series with Destin Daniel Cretton along with Andrew Guest. And if that name Destin Daniel Cretton sounds familiar, that's because this is Mr. Shang-Chi director himself tackling this Wonder Man series. So let's go ahead and dive into this. It says Wonder Man is the latest Marvel superhero to get the screen treatment. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton has teamed up with Andrew Guest, writer and producer on comedies such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Community, to tackle a live-action series featuring the longtime Marvel character. Guest will serve as the head writer for the series, so Andrew Guest is the head writer, while Cretton will executive produce and possibly direct an episode or more. So we don't know how many episodes we're getting as of yet, but it seems Daniel will be more directorial and executive producing, and Andrew Guest will be more writing. It says Cretton is working via his overall deal with Marvel Studios that he signed late last year, which we certainly talked about. The two will also act as co-creators for the series. Development for what's being titled Wonder Man is in its early stages, but if things crackle, cameras could be rolling in 2023. So they could be moving to production relatively soon next year. It says Wonder Man is one of Marvel's oldest characters, first being introduced in 1964 in the pages of Avengers #9. He was initially a villain and only appeared sporadically in the early Marvel ages, but was reconceived as a hero and an Avenger in the late 70s. In the 80s, the character really came into his own, known as Simon Williams. He was a founding member of the Los Angeles-based West Coast Avengers, and with a look that included a turtleneck, a red jacket, and some sunglasses, became a celebrity thanks to his day job as an actor and stuntman. It says the character also developed strong ties to classic and now, thanks to Marvel movies and Emmy-winning series, characters like Vision and Scarlet Witch. Stories tied him to the android via ionic energy and brainwaves that implied the two were akin to brothers. Wonder Man even developed feelings for Wanda after Vision had been dismantled. Takes on the character for the DC Plus series were not revealed, although Marvel could steer the character down a Hollywood lane, maybe more along the Hollywood satire or something, so far unexplored in the MCU, or it could set him up in the Wanda and Vision lane, something that the company has continued to explore in its latest blockbuster. So yeah, man, we got Wonder Man series here that is certainly in development. And Stuart, I'll start off with this one. I'm so thrilled with this news. Simon Williams for me as Wonder Man has always been a low key favorite of mine in the Avengers. While I definitely dabbled a little bit in his time on West Coast Avengers, my love for him really came with his relationship with Wanda, his connection with Vision, and just sort of that love triangle sort of concept that was brewing in the comics from time to time whenever Simon Williams was certainly around. But I've always enjoyed the Wonder Man character, whether it be from his first iteration when he looks very more android-like, it feels like, when he's got all the green and red costume design, even to his more Hollywood stunt acting days as the West Coast Avenger. And then even in, I believe maybe even George Perez's and Kurt Busiek's run in the comic books, they literally turned Wonder Man into like pure ionic energy, which was a really great version of that character kind of brought to life on the pages. So there's a lot of different routes that they can certainly go, but I do like the idea of it being teased. Now, while we got Wanda and Scarlet kind of really off on their own thing, right? We haven't seen Vision in quite some time since WandaVision. We saw the sacrifice or maybe the potential end of Scarlet Witch at the end of Doctor Strange 2. So it feels like those two storylines are probably going to be taking a little bit of a break before we get back to them. So if I am going to be introduced to a Simon Williams, I would not mind the idea of them going the Hollywood satire route or the Hollywood route, him being a stunt man, living that lavish life. And when you bring in somebody like an Andrew Guest who has the comedic chops, I can really see them having some fun with a superhero that is also an actor in Hollywood. I think that's something that's could be really fun for them to explore. And I've been super pumped for Destin Daniel Cretton ever since I saw Shang-Chi. I absolutely love the film. I loved his vision and his creativeness behind it. So much to the point where I really want this guy to make a Dragon Ball Z film at some point in time if we can. But him inking his big deal with Marvel Studios was such a great, successful moment for him. And I knew that he was already going to be working on Shang-Chi, the sequel. I didn't know what else he was going to be working in, but I really would love to see just his vision brought to life for Wonder Man. Also, another fan favorite character of mine. Now having two really great talents working on bringing this character to life, I'm really on board with this, Stuart. Do you think this opens the door, Stuart, for a future West Coast Avengers? And if not, which direction do you think Wonder Man certainly could take, or that you certainly would like to see him take? What are your thoughts on the article?
I think it definitely opens the door for the West Coast Avengers, but the direction I kind of hope they take the show is I kind of hope we get kind of like the boys type of a vibe, but of course, like set in the Marvel universe, and of course, like written for not a R-rated audience type of thing, like written as a Marvel TV show, so like probably TV-14 type of
Mm.
writing. I think they've been kind of building up to this in a way with Miss Marvel, and then even some of the other Marvel shows we've gotten, because we've been recently seeing a lot of these superheroes now through the eyes of people that don't have your everyday life as an Avenger. We got it with Miss Marvel, we got it with Kate Bishop, and then we got a little bit of it, like we didn't really see much of it in the beginning of Shang-Chi, but we got to have the characters talking about it, so we get to hear people having conversations about these bigger than life superheroes out there. And so I think it'd be kind of funny to see the way Hollywood views like real life superheroes. So if they have a character like Wonder Man and he's not like a superhero in the beginning of his show, he's like an actor, it would be kind of cool to see like Hollywood's perspective on Marvel if they want to capitalize on superheroes, whether or not superheroes are something they should be capitalizing on, given the fact that some of the times they can cause a lot of property damage. I feel like there's just so much fun they could have with the writing here, in terms of both like just like satire when it comes to like the real world, or just overall social commentary as well. I feel like there's just so much they could do with it that I would absolutely love to see a Wonder Man show on Disney Plus.
And I know you're a big Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan.
Yeah,
So do you think this is a good fit for the writer?
if they go in that comedic direction, for sure.
Yeah, I think I do think that when it comes to Marvel Studios, they do have a great eye, not only for casting, but I think putting the right people together to create these particular shows. And I think you're right too, especially the direction that we've seen so far with Phase 4 with these brand new characters. Now that we have established the MCU as this world and these bigger than life and epic heroes, to now kind of introduce us to these everyday people, that kind of sort of live their lives and see how they kind of get thrusted into this world of being a superhero. I do wonder if that's the situation where Simon Williams is an actor playing an action star or a superhero, not really a superhero, but eventually becomes one in the show, and it's kind of living the life that he's playing on set, sort of thing. Which would be like, I do wonder if he just embraces it, if people know that he's a superhero, so that just brings more star power to him, sort of thing. But as long as I get the classic shades, turtleneck, at least in one particular scene for Wonder Man, I'll be a happy camper. But I love the sound of this. I think they've got some great creative forces at work to go ahead and put this together. And if anything, I hope they go the Hollywood route, like you mentioned, just as our first introduction to him. And then I think if they ever do want to go down that path of the whole Wanda and Vision thing, you can hold off those stories for another time. Maybe Simon Williams pops up in another WandaVision season or whatever the case may be, or whatever they have in store for him. But I like this idea. So no West Coast Avengers, Stuart. You don't think?
At least not for the first season. Like, I definitely want the idea.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
the
not the
seeds to
first
be
season. Yeah.
I want the seeds to be planted there. But yeah, I do think it definitely could be planted with this show.
I hope so. I would love to see them go a different route. I mean, they've talked about the idea that it's going to be a minute before we get an Avengers movie, and I think they're building up to things already, like a Young Avengers film. The idea of a West Coast Avengers would be pretty fun, I think. But I don't know if that's a route that they're going to go. Regardless, I think this is Wonder Man certainly shaping up to be something fantastic. But guys, I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the idea of a Wonder Man series currently in the works? Are you familiar with the character? If so, what route would you certainly like to see them take? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below.
Not sure if and again, it completely depends on what direction they want to take the character. But if they really do want to go for the comedic route and kind of going for like the satire idea, I do think Andy Samberg would be kind of a good choice, since we're still since we got
Or Wonder Man.
Yeah, since we got the writers of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he's working with
no.
he's worked with Andy Samberg before. I think that would be a pretty funny choice.
God, I don't even know who I like. For some reason, when I think of Wonder Man, like I think of like, I don't know why I get Superman in my head, in the sense of like chiseled jaw, like really just I think of like classic 80s action stars, and I feel like whoever embodies Wonder Man has got to carry some of that 80s swag or 90s swag with him just a little bit. But I don't know. We'll see, man. I don't know if Andy Samberg's that guy that I had in mind, but I can see why. We'll leave it up to Marvel. They do great when it comes to cat choices, right? So,
and that's genuinely just like, if they want to go the more comedic route with the show. If they wanted to take it more seriously, then yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, get someone else. But if you want to go full on superhero satire, why not go for a full on comedian? For your main character.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely see, man. We'll keep you guys posted, though, for sure, as further development happens on this series. All right, Stuart, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and transition more to the movie side of things. This is no longer DC or Marvel, but we're going to be diving into some live action adaptation of some anime. So let's go ahead and dive into this, man, because we've got One Punch Man is in the news. Yeah. Yeah, man. One Punch Man is in the news. I've checked out the first season of One Punch Man, and I absolutely loved it. I haven't watched anything after that, unfortunately. But it definitely left a lasting impression on me. And the idea that they're even contemplating the idea of bringing One Punch Man to live action is quite appealing. And I think it's ready for us to get ourselves another superpowered hero on the big screen. It coming from Sony Pictures does give me a little bit worry in regards to how I feel about them as a production studio. But considering who they have as director now, officially attached to this movie, it certainly does give me hope. So, Stuart, let's go ahead and dive into this. If you are big anime fans, then you certainly will be thrilled with this news, as One Punch Man is in fact coming. It says Sony Pictures taps Justin Lin to direct One Punch Man, adaptation of a manga classic. Scott Rosenberg and Jeff Pinkner are in fact scripting it. So this is
okay. So we mentioned earlier that he left Fast X because of creative differences. I feel like this might have secretly been the real reason he left. It's because he was offered this role, and it's kind of like with who was it that left Marvel? John Watts with leading Fantastic Four. I don't think it was necessarily just the fact that he didn't want to do superheroes anymore. I think it was specifically like someone offered him Star Wars, and he's like, I can either do another superhero movie or I get to do Star Wars. And I feel like that must be what his thought is. I either do another Fast and Furious movie or I get to do something really unique like One Punch Man.
I mean, you may not be far off, man. It may be a combination of both, but it would not surprise me if that's one of his true reasons for possibly leaving. But this is an exclusive report from Deadline. It says after exiting Fast X, it didn't take Justin Lin very long to rev up another franchise. He's set to direct One Punch Man for Sony Pictures. It says Scott Rosenberg and Jeff Pinkner, who teamed up on Jumanji: The Next Level and Venom, are set to write the live action film adaptation of worldwide hit manga series. Sony Pictures acquired the film rights from them also. So you know what, Stuart, this feels very much like a case of this might have already, I don't know if this was already on his schedule or his docket. Like, I can have almost seen like One Punch Man happening even after his Fast X, but the fact that it was like another option for him, he's probably like, hey, I'm free and clear of this Fast X stuff now. I don't have to wait another year anymore. I'm gonna do this shit now. Like, I'm, take full advantage of it. So I think you're right in the sense that an opportunity opened up and he jumped on it immediately. This is clearly feels like a passion project of his. It says AV Rand and Ari Arad of Arad Productions are producing the film. Lin also will be a producer and will work with the writers on a rewrite with the intention to begin production by the year's end. And can I just say, this last sentence here just saved this whole thing for me, Stuart. Because you tell me, hey, we've got the writers from Jumanji: The Next Level and Venom. I'm like,
yeah, I was literally
no,
thinking the exact same thing. If it wasn't for that last
no.
paragraph or that last sentence saying that he's going to help with the rewrite, I would have actually been,
Please.
especially because now you also got like the Arads working on this, and like almost like specifically Avi Arad, almost like everything he touches turns to shit. So it's good to know that he's at least going to be rewriting the script at the end there.
Yeah, thank God. I needed to hear that in my life. It says hugely popular in both Japan and around the world. One Punch Man follows the story of Saitama. Am I pronouncing that right? Saitama? A superhero who can defeat any opponent with a single punch, but seeks to find a worthy opponent after growing bored by a lack of challenges in his in his fight against evil. The studio is bullish on the concept as a franchise starter. So yeah, they definitely seemingly have big plans for this. Um, it says Lin was planning to wrap up Fast and the Furious series and had begun production on Fast 8 when he dropped out of the project over creative differences. Lin had started with the franchise, yada, yada, yada. Okay, it says now Lin will be on the ground floor to create a new franchise. So he goes from one franchise to possibly trying to create one here. And let me throw this over to you first, Stuart. What's your thoughts about Justin Lin being attached as a director in here? And do you see a potential for this becoming a bigger franchise with him launching this?
Definitely a lot of potential behind it. I think Justin Lin is a really good director when it comes to action, and also just I think what he's done with all the Fast and Furious movies that he's been involved with, I think he's done a really good job with those. So I think he's like a good choice for a One Punch Man movie as the director. Again, I think everything that I'm worried about going into this movie is really more about the creative team outside the director. I think who they got writing it, I'm not the biggest fan of. Who they got producing it, I'm not the biggest fan of. So those are kind of like all of my only concerns with it. But like I do think that One Punch Man, it's like a creative enough manga to where you can really you can be accurate in some areas, but I feel like you can kind of make your own story around these characters, and I don't think it would piss fans off. I feel like as long as you get the character himself right along with the side characters, I think as long as you do those ones correct, fans are gonna dig it, and I look forward to seeing what they got with this.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of Justin Lin and his work, and I agree. I think just based off of what we've seen him capable of doing in Fast and the Furious, I mean, if you're looking for a big blockbuster action film, Justin Lin is definitely your man, and he's definitely not one. He definitely does not mind. Uh, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Just overstepping boundaries, right? And understanding exactly what the franchise is and not being afraid to jump jump off the tracks, if you get what I mean. So I think the idea of just big bombastic action in here, getting an opportunity to really see One Punch Man like at all his glory, I think Justin Lin can definitely go ahead and bring that type of character to life. So I do think this is a great project for him to certainly be lined up on, and I definitely want to see more of what he's capable of doing here. Marcelino does say, forget the One Punch Man movie. I'm still waiting for season 3. There's already enough manga published to make more seasons. Yeah, man, I do wonder why the slow pacing for animation.
They gotta like take their time with that animation, make it as crisp as the first season, because I know there was like a lot of controversy with season 2. It was a lot more from what I had seen, from what little I had seen with season 2. The animation was more consistent, but they also didn't like have as much. It wasn't as fluid as it was in season 1. It didn't look like. But yeah.
But yeah, I hope this comes to fruition, and good luck to Justin Lin in creating this as a brand new franchise. I hope it gets off the ground. But yeah, I do think that he's definitely the right man for the job in regards to pushing the movie's boundaries in regards to what you can certainly do on screen. He's been doing that for each Fast and the Furious movie that he certainly has come across. So I do think he could bring that same mentality to this as well.
And I want to pitch Ryan Reynolds as Mummin Rider in this movie.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see who they wind up getting in regards to the lead character in here. But I love the concept, and the idea of it coming to live action should be pretty fun. But I'm in agreement with you. Like, while I do think Justin Lin is the right man for the job, my worry does come with the producing and the writing of this. But if Justin Lin is going to help with a rewrite, there's some hope. There's some hope. Let's say that. But yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts. Justin Lin set to go ahead and direct One Punch Man after dropping out of Fast X. Do you think he's the right man for the job? Are you a big One Punch Man fan? And are you eager to go ahead and see a live action adaptation? A little hesitant just because it's coming from Sony for me personally, but Justin Lin definitely gives this project some life. But let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And then last topic we're going to get into, Stuart. We're going to dive into the realm of Disney live action films. Stuart, I feel like Disney live action movies, as far as remakes go of their classic animated stuff, has been kind of hit or miss for some people. There are definitely a group of people out there that are tired of these reboots again, if you will. We have the animation. Why do we need another film in live action sort of mentality? Then again, there's always that group of people that hate the concept of reboots in general, and they want things that are a little bit more original. But seemingly the live action versions have certainly been working for Disney, certainly enough for them to continue to push them out, regardless of how they're doing, certainly in the box office. So we definitely have had some successes, and we definitely have had some failures in that regards. One of the movies that was a huge success, at least I certainly really appreciated it when it was in theaters, was the live action remake of Aladdin. I thought the director in there, Guy Ritchie, who, when I think of Guy Ritchie, I don't necessarily associate him with Disney movies or that type of style of filmmaking. But Guy Ritchie certainly delivered, brought his style to Aladdin, had some fantastic actors to certainly work with in Naomi Scott along with Will Smith. And it turned out to be rather successful film. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Guy Ritchie is in fact back, and it's not for an Aladdin sequel, but they are set to go ahead and tackle Hercules, Stuart. Hercules. You definitely know this not only Disney movie, but this has had a animated series in the past also. But this comes to us from Deadline.com that the Aladdin director Guy Ritchie is set to team up with Disney again on a live action Hercules. They love what this guy did so much, Stuart. They said, please do it again for us. This is an exclusive report. It says, after watching his live action transfer of Disney's animated Aladdin become his first film to crack $1 billion gross mark, Guy Ritchie is back in business with the studio. This time he's overseeing a live action film based on the Disney animated film Hercules. It says the production company run by Avengers Endgame directors Joe and Jonathan Russo will be producing this. The studio is in the process of hiring writers after Dave Callahan wrote a first draft. So a first draft of this script has been put together, and it looks like they're in the process of trying to bring in other writers to maybe take another crack at the draft. So still waiting on another writer, but the director is now on board. It says Ritchie most recently shot an untitled action thriller with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's coming off Operation Fortune, which he wrote and directed, along with executive produced as well. So yeah, Guy Ritchie is officially on board to go ahead and tap into the world of Hercules. What are your thoughts on this, Stuart?
It's funny. You'd think because I wasn't the biggest fan of Aladdin that I would be against this, but I'm actually not. I do think that Hercules might actually be perfectly up Guy Ritchie's alley, given like a lot of his other movies and then just the way he likes to direct. I think he has kind of a unique visual style when it comes to his fantasy movies. Like, even though I think King Arthur, Legend of the Sword was a really dumb movie, and I wouldn't really call it a good movie, I can easily say I was never bored watching it. It was a very entertaining film to look at. And he definitely knows how to direct actors when it comes to incorporating CG into a lot of the action scenes. He knows how to make it kind of flow with the actors. So yeah, honestly, I think this is a pretty cool choice. I'm really excited to see who they got to write for the movie, because that's really what it's all going to come down to. But I think directing wise, they got a winner on their hands.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of Guy Ritchie's work. Is there anything else on his resume that you've seen that makes you think he'd be a good choice for Hercules outside of King Arthur?
He also did Man from Uncle, which
Oh, the Henry Cavill one. That was fun.
yeah.
I
And
like
then,
that.
right, and of course, the Sherlock Holmes movies, which I actually really enjoyed both of those.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I can definitely see his sensibilities probably working really well with Hercules. I think for me, the idea of bringing Hercules to live action is just really fascinating to me, just based off of the mythology, the characters that we've seen from the animated world. Like, I wonder visually what this is going to look like. Is it going to be heavy CGI? Like, are these characters, while they are live action, is there going to be a sense of CGI incorporated with your characters? Is it going to be animated bodies, but then they're going to do like motion caption work or just something visual for the faces attached to these characters? Like, they just, for me, the idea of him playing in sandbox of with these the mythology of all these characters and trying to bring them to live action, for me, is really going to be the fun part. I was always a big fan of a lot of the Hercules characters in here, so to kind of see how he tackles them visually, I think is going to be really what I want to see, because I don't think he's going to handle this the same way as Aladdin. There were some aspects of Aladdin that felt pretty fantastical at times from the animated movie that I thought to myself, how are they going to do that in live action? And there's certain things that they just didn't bother to tackle in the Aladdin movie, and I wonder if that's if they felt it was too fantastical and they wanted to ground it just a little bit more. So I am curious the route that they'll go with Hercules, if they're really going to jump into it and really embrace it for the movie that it is, with like Zeus and or just all the gods in general and stuff like that. So I am fascinated if that's the route that they're going to go. But I do think Guy Ritchie is certainly the man for the job.
Really hope they keep Danny DeVito as the satyr trainer, because I think he could play that character just as well in live action as he could in animation.
Yeah, he really went. And again, that's one of the things I would wonder, like, is he going to be a motion caption suit? Is he going to look more like the character, or will we see like Danny DeVito's face with like prosthetics or something? Like I like makeup or his face, and then the rest of his body is animated. Like, there's little things like that. Like, visually, I want to see what these characters in this movie is going to look like.
For me, if I was doing it, I'd give him like kind of, the fake satyr legs, but then just, in post-production, I'd tune it up to make it look like more realistic. But other than that, I wouldn't want to like add too much in terms of CG over him. I would want him mostly just like, play it the same way he plays Frank Reynolds in It's Always Sunny.
So, yeah, I think that's great. I think that's why Danny DeVito should come back. I think you definitely made a great casting choice already, Stuart, for bringing him back in for this.
The thing I'm most curious about with this, though, especially given that this is straight up by like different producers and everything, I'm kind of hoping they go more in a Greek mythology route, rather than trying to just full on remake Hercules. Like, I hope we get that
Right.
same story of Hercules trying to prove himself to the gods. But I also kind of hope they don't make the gods good people. I hope, because in the animated movie they were all like extremely nice. They're the kind of people you would want to have as gods looking out for
Mm.
us. But in actual Greek mythology, that's not really the case there. So I kind of hope they go in that more accurate route, where like maybe you could even add that layer to Hercules' development, where he finally gets to where he wants to be, only to realize, wow, the gods are assholes. Screw this. I'm staying immortal. I
Yeah,
feel
it's a
like you could have a
possibility.
cool route like that.
Yeah, no, I do like that take also. Instead of the idea of just adapting it just shot to shot or story beat for story beat, they definitely switched up some things from Aladdin also. So maybe that's a little wrinkle in the storyline for Hercules that they can certainly do and making it feel at least a little bit more unique than the actual animated film itself. So I think that's a great idea, Stuart. I would love to see that come to life.
Who
But
would you
look,
have play the love interest?
for Hercules,
Yeah.
God, I'm curious how old they're gonna be in this movie. Um, I'm terrible at casting, Stuart. I was still trying to figure out who you would cast as Hercules.
Oh man, like it sucks because it's the most obvious choice, and I don't want to go with him. But right now, the first one I can think of is Chris Hemsworth. But it feels way too obvious, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely a little bit too obvious. I do wonder, like, I was thinking, who I think would be pretty good? Maybe Dacre Montgomery from Power Rangers. Maybe he would play a really good Hercules if you can get him buffed up a little bit. He's got the red hair too, kind of like Hercules. I think maybe
Oh,
Dacre Montgomery.
was
There's
he
the
the
Red
Red
Ranger
Ranger?
from Power
Oh,
Rangers.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Dacre Montgomery as Hercules. Let's get
Yeah,
Naomi
I
Scott
could
back
totally
as
see
his
that.
love interest. No, I'm not, let's not do that. Let's not do that. But that would probably be my pick if I had to pick anybody right now. As far as love interest, no, I have no idea right now, Stuart. I have to think on that one. Do you
All
have
right.
anybody in mind?
Um, Not gonna lie, if they end up going with him for Hercules, I would love Naomi Scott like as the love interest. I mean, she has a really amazing singing voice, as we saw in Aladdin, so that would
I,
actually be really cool.
I'll even throw out maybe even Haley Steinfeld.
Ooh,
Uh, I
yes.
w- I wouldn't mind seeing her in there. She's an incredible actress, and I'm pretty sure she could probably belt it a little bit too. Yeah, maybe Haley. She's already part of the Disney family. You know what I mean? She's in the
Yeah.
good graces as Kate Bishop, so maybe. So yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know your thoughts. Guy Ritchie attached to go ahead and direct live action Hercules. Disney was so impressed with his $1 billion movie in Aladdin, they said, "Please do it again. We want that income,
We
and
want
that
another
profit." So
$1 billion.
yeah, we need another $1 billion. So we'll see if Guy Ritchie could certainly do it again by bringing Hercules to life. But go ahead and let us know your thoughts on Guy Ritchie being here. What do you personally want to see from a Hercules live action movie? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And no, this is not the MCU Hercules. This is, in fact, the Disney Hercules.
Just because it's produced by the Russo brothers, that does make it MCU.
God, or maybe this is the Hercules from the MCU, huh? Maybe we get the collaboration crossover confirmed, Stuart.
I mean, that would be kind of funny if they wanted to remake
Russell
Hercules, but
Crowe
set
winds
that
up
in the
being
cinematic
Zeus.
universe.
Russell
That would
Crowe is Zeus in here. I love it.
I'll love it if they do it. Like I will just straight up cheer for them for that one if they go through with that. I doubt they will, but that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
I doubt they will too, man. I doubt they will too. All right, guys. That wraps up all of our topics for us here today. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining us, giving us some of your thoughts in regards to the live chat. And feel free to certainly continue to comment and communicate with each other in the live chat. And listen, if you continue to love our content here, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button, that thumbs up. It really does go a long way. Certainly allows YouTube to certainly recognize us and hopefully recommend it to other people. So definitely go ahead and subscribe and hit that like button.
Okay, before we go into the live viewer questions, can I bring up an honorable mention that I hate myself for forgetting?
Yeah, go for it. Last
So
minute
this
honorable mention.
So this was brought up on Anime Assemble on their Instagram. I'm not sure if they had a video about it yet, but they are now bringing back Trigun in a new anime adaptation. And
Yes.
from what I hear, this one is meant to be more accurate to the manga, which is exciting because I've actually never read the manga. I've only watched the anime, so I'm excited to see what like the actual story from the manga would be.
I'm trying to remember how many episodes Trigun originally was.
26. For some reason in the 90s, that was like the magical number when it came to like
The same thing for Cowboy
limited
Bebop,
animes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I remember watching both of them during that same time. I mean, they were just hot animes during that time period, and I absolutely love Trigon. So I did hear the news on this, man, and I almost shit my pants. I was so happy, bro. I was so happy.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe if we do get an episode of Anime Assembled this upcoming weekend, maybe they'll go ahead and talk about it for Indy and John Forsaken Powers to go ahead and tackle that. But thanks for that honorable mention, Stuart. I'm glad you brought that up. But I think you know what time it is, Stuart.
It is time, my friends, for live viewer questions.
I'm just gonna have Indy record you saying that and have him do like an echoing loop, and maybe that's something that maybe we got to put together a graphic to transition to our next segment with that, man. We definitely got to work on that. I know we had some music playing last time whenever we did our live viewer questions. I can't remember which ones we picked though.
The one you had a minute ago, or the previous one, I think was it. So not this one, but the one you selected for. Yeah, pretty sure it was this one.
The daydreaming?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep it there. It'll keep it low, but we'll keep it there.
Yeah.
So we have some nice background noise. The smooth tones of our live viewer questions. Let's get into this. Chris Crossman, this is way back from like June 9th, which was like a month ago. No, I'm just kidding, almost. Chris Crossman, with Tom Cruise's The Mummy movie being a box office bomb and commercial failure, one of the things being it was too dark and not as funny as the original Brendan Fraser films. Does this tell you that films that are too dark tend to not do so well? And do you think if Power Rangers went this route, it would bomb, or it depends on how general public sees it? I don't necessarily know if it had anything to do with it being too dark. I mean, maybe it was too dark for some people if they went in expecting the comedy, but I don't think if you saw the trailer for The Mummy, I don't think you go in expecting this is a Brendan Fraser mummy comedy. So I don't necessarily think it being too dark was an issue, more or less just maybe the script was poor.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone complain about that movie being too dark, and that definitely wasn't my complaint when I saw the movie.
What was your complaint?
Actually, if anything, it was that the comedy was really bad because they had a lot of comedy, but like the problem was I don't think I laughed at a single joke.
You're like, this is supposed to be a comedy? You probably didn't even walked into it and even know what it was supposed to be. So yeah, no, I don't think that really had anything to do with it, Chris. So as far as do I think Power Rangers went that route for their movie, if it would have bombed, probably. I don't know. Probably. If they kept that same script, yeah, it probably would have.
Yeah.
So yeah, more script than anything. Danny Morales. What's up, Danny Morales? Do you think Super Sentai has been very great at making its series cater to both adults and kids, even with the current modern series? I do. I think they've got a pretty good balance. Sometimes it can be a little bit too kiddie like. Like it's Zen Kaiser was very light to me, but some of the humor in there did feel kind of adult from time to time. Kira Major, I thought was a really great balance. I think Don Brothers is a really great balance too. So I think for me, at least in regards to the current Reiwa era, we probably have had more balance than anything. But I do feel like Super Sentai has become more lighthearted than it's been over the past couple of years, though.
I think it's interesting because I feel like Sentai has a really weird unbalance when it comes to its seasons in terms of like when it goes for kids and adults. With Power Rangers, it feels like way more consistent, like you know exactly what age range it's like trying to get to. But with Sentai, it's so strange because you can have moments where it's like it's clearly them just trying to be catering towards a really young audience. But then you can have like things that you would never be allowed to show in Power Rangers. Like there was one from Q Ranger, where it's like you see this village being slaughtered by like all these enemies, and it's like they're not trying to be like, off screen about it like they would be in Power Rangers, where you would probably have someone say my village was slaughtered. It was like you actually see people getting cut, and like you do see blood and everything like that. So it's kind of interesting how it's like it's written to be at times more child friendly than Power Rangers, but then you have moments like that where you're like, whoa, that got intense.
Yeah, that got intense pretty quickly. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Let's see here. Next up, we got Francois. If you can, please explain the different X-Men films we've had from the original to the younger versions of the characters. I mean, we're not going to break down synopsis of each film, but the classic X-Men films. What was this, back in the 90s, Stuart? Maybe early 2000s?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Early 2000s. Yeah, it definitely went for those X-Men films were interesting to me in the sense that they really were the introduction to like the superhero team aspect of things. Everybody rocking the black leather was big back in the early 2000s for everything. Didn't really want to embrace the bolder colors, if you will. But they were just classic characters. I mean, Hugh Jackman, was it James Marsden that played Cyclops in there, Professor X? I mean, Professor X and Magneto, just incredible characters in general, with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart playing both of them. Just extremely memorable, with the exception of the last one. I would assume the younger versions, those were probably more like alternate dimensions, huh? Like a multiversal aspect, if you will, but like a younger version, because they eventually do connect with our X-Men.
Yeah, when it came to Days of Future Past, I love that movie, but I don't really look at it as like a connection between the two characters, or between the two X-Men franchises. I really just see it as like it's connected to the newer franchise with the younger actors, but like it just happens that they grow up to look exactly like the actors that we see from the original X-Men trilogy. But I look at it as a coincidence and not like an actual connection between the two, because I think that's like, I love the X-Men movies, but they fail when it comes to continuity, even though they try to like convince us it's all connected. It's like you can't look at X-Men Origins of Wolverine and tell me that it fits into either the younger X-Men movies or the original trilogy. It's like that only works if you see it as a standalone,
Yeah, no, I definitely get what you mean there. But yeah, I felt like X-Men has had more good movies than bad, or maybe they're kind of balanced when you think about it. But I've always been a big fan of the franchise. I thought Fox handled it relatively well, even though it did have its mishaps.
Yeah.
Abase, last week on Hey Plus Hero Report, when you showed the poster of CW's Gotham Knight series, the cast do look like it's basically the show Riverdale meets CW's superheroes. Just looking at the power gives me the vibes of how MCU Netflix series never really had the characters wear costumes. Even Logan, Wolverine, and the X-Men franchise. On the other hand, I think the showrunner wants to surprise fans later on the characters in actual superhero costumes. They could be working towards costumes maybe by the end of the first season. Maybe it's something that the characters have to work their way into storyline wise before we wind up getting that big reveal. But what do you think about what he has to say, Stuart?
The reason I don't think that's gonna happen is because like you kind of had something similar with Titans, where like you didn't, in season 1 you didn't really see Dick Grayson in the Robin costume that much, but still the promotional art for Titans, it didn't show Dick Grayson just in his street clothes. It showed him as Robin, like anytime they were promoting it. Same with like Hawk and Dove. So that's kind of why I don't think that's the case.
That'd just be such a bummer, man, because to me it just feels like, hey, they're DC characters, but guess what? They're really not. Like it's just like, hey, we're just doing something completely random with them. And that just, I don't know how that sits with me. So there is a part of me that, like, Carrie Kelly, why the fuck is she in, like, are we going back to the 2000s? We just talked about this with the all black leather, right? She's not even rocking a Robin costume. And he, in the trailer, she's like, yeah, he used to call me his little Robin or something like that. And I'm like, he called you his little Robin, or are you are you Robin? Like, where's your Robin costume? Have you not acquired a costume yet as Robin? So there's definitely some questions that I have, but they definitely feel Riverdale-ish to me. But listen, I think we're all gonna give the series a shot. We'll see if it. I don't have any expectations for it though. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same way.
I have no expectations. John Morales, what's up, John? He says, "I'm John. Found your other YouTube channel about Power Rangers. Watched a few videos on Kamen Rider. Out of all the Nickelodeon era seasons of Power Rangers, would you revisit Beast Morphers despite the second season having issues like Blaze and Roxy and their Robo Doubles being underutilized, and the crossover with the original Red being very underwhelming?" Well, for you, John, if it was very underwhelming. For me, it wasn't. I mean, I enjoyed the return of Austin St. John as the Red Ranger and Beast Morphers. And yeah, I would definitely give Beast Morphers a second crack for sure. I thought season 1 was pretty solid, really enjoyable in regards to getting some great character work. And really the only hiccup I have with Beast Morphers is the beginning half of season 2. Where I wasn't the biggest fan of the Blaze and Roxy storyline. It struggled to kind of find itself, but I thought the second half of Beast Morphers was extremely stellar, where it finally felt like there was a focus in regards to the storyline beats. A lot of the episodes feeling like they were kind of running right into each other and building up towards what I thought was going to turn out to be a great series finale. So I am a fan of Beast Morphers, despite some of the setback storyline wise. So yeah, I would absolutely check it out again. What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, I really like Beast Morphers, so of course I'd rewatch that anytime. I would be kind of curious though, because like my biggest hiccup I think was not necessarily Robo Blaze and Roxy, but like actually Blaze and Roxy in season 2, because they didn't really do much with their characters unless it was to develop the main Power Rangers characters. They never had like kind of development on their own. And I thought it was weird, especially with Blaze, because like, last time we see him, he's kind of an asshole. And then out of nowhere, season 2, suddenly he's like super friendly. He and Devin are like best friends. And it's just like, I feel like we missed a lot. And I kind of would like to see, I would have loved to have seen Blaze actually go from being a douchebag to being a nice person rather than just, skipping that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the life experience of being captured and brainwashed or whatever happened to Blaze, that might change you from being an asshole to a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's Devin that comes and saves your life and stuff, right? Like it's like, maybe I should be a little bit nicer to this dude. But I would have
had more fun, like had him be like jealous of that and had him be more petty towards Devin because of that.
Yeah,
I feel like they could have had fun.
I would agree. You definitely could have had a lot more fun in what they did with their characters. Gabriel also says, the CW Flash series, why do you think Barry kept getting different suits throughout this series, not able to match the one in the comic books? And is it me, or when you watch the current and recent seasons, you can see the original season 1 suit on display in Star Labs? Why doesn't Barry use the original suit anymore?
Because the current suit's better. I think like it's kind of common for superheroes, to
they upgrade
they upgrade every couple seasons. Sometimes it can be a bit of a downgrade, which is why like season 5 specifically, the suit literally only lasted that season, because like immediately they're kind of like, okay, this looks a bit too clunky. Like his helmet looked like a bicycle helmet, so it was really hard for me to take it seriously. So I think like right now where the suit's at, I think it's like kind of perfect. They've upgraded it exactly the way that I would want to see it upgraded, because it looks very comic book accurate, and they even got the golden boots now, which I think look fantastic on Grant Gustin.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there.
But I like that they have this. Yeah, and I love that they have the season 1 costume there, just to, because they're never, don't be ashamed of where you started. Just because you got better over time, that doesn't mean, you want to be like, oh, what? Our suit was never this bad. Even though I don't think the season 1 suit looked bad per se, but you know what I mean? Like, even though it's a lot better now, it's kind of cool to like just look at where the show started.
And then Michael Rhymes, he says, just me, but I just realized that both Power Rangers, SPD, and Beast Morphers both adapted their logos from their Super Sentai counterpart. SPD and Decker Ranger was Special Police Decker Ranger, while for Beast Morphers, GB stood for Go Busters, while for us we had Space Patrol Delta and Grid Battle Force. Any similarities you think of with SPD and Beast Morphers besides Commander and Mentors?
I mean, SPD storyline wise had a lot of similar episodes to Deca Ranger. Um, like
No,
it kind of felt, yeah.
oh, never mind. I think they meant between SPD and Beast Morphers. Similarities between
Oh,
SPD and Beast
similarities
Morphers.
between those. I thought they meant between their seasons and their Sentai counterparts. Between Beast Morphers and SPD, they had a kind of thematically similar ending where you got the crew for Grid Battle Force like wanting to evacuate, but then you have the comedic relief kind of stepping in, saying, "Hey, no, we're going to stay and fight with the Rangers because that's what they would do for us."
That's a good one. That's a good one, man. Let's see here. Adrian Perez says, I hope everyone is doing well. Besides the theory of Amelia being revealed as Tarek and Santora's long lost daughter, what twist would you love to see in the final episodes of Dino Fury that would blow your mind? If you can't think of anything, this could also apply to Super Sentai or twists that have already happened.
For the first time in Power Rangers, what I would love to see them finally do is not necessarily a cliffhanger, but an ending that definitively sets up the next season. Because we've never seen that. The closest we got was like the bonus feature in Dino Thunder, which kind of like showed them looking into a stone that showed them SPD in the future. But like that again, that's only if you bought the DVD. So I would love to see like an actual episode of Power Rangers ending being like coming next year.
Oh, like a mini trailer? Like a tease? Like a post-credit or something?
Yeah, like a post-credit scene, something like that. Or even if it's not post-credit, something that just happens at the very end of the episode. Like you get either a past Ranger or a new Ranger in season 3 coming to the team and being like, hey, we got a new threat. Zed's back or something like that. We need your help.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, maybe a cliffhanger of Zed survive. I was going to say maybe a cliffhanger of Zed surviving out of season 3 to where maybe we lead into a 30th anniversary and he returns again as the main villain. I would love to see something along those lines. Let's see here. And if anything, when it comes to Super Sentai, I will say in regards to Don Brothers, I don't know what the twist would be, but I really want to see more involvement from Kaido. Like I need to learn Kaido's involvement in this whole Don Brothers thing. Like I really want there to be a huge reveal as to how deeply connected he is and how he got connected to it. Those are some things I definitely need to see. Jackson Peterson, what's up, Jackson? What are some things that Marvel in general is really bad at? Same thing for DC. What are some things that Marvel in general is really bad at, along with same for DC? I will say this, Marvel, there's maybe one or two themes. There's like 2 themes that I can think of that have stuck with me that I always loved. Avengers and the Spider-Man theme. Outside of that, I think Marvel's soundtracks and theme songs for the heroes are atrocious. I am just not a fan of them whatsoever. Like they just don't captivate me like I would with other theme songs for heroes. I think DC does a great job at it. I mean, look, you got John Williams when it comes to Star Wars to create memorable themes. I just don't know if Marvel has anybody that's there to truly create a memorable theme, but I think DC does great at that. So that would be one of my biggest complaints when it comes to Marvel, is their musical scores.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. And then my other kind of nitpick with Marvel, I guess, is that I wish like you could get a couple more you get a little bit more with characters being able to introduce themselves with a little more of a straight face in terms of like being what guys, sorry, it's really hard for me to describe this one. So basically it feels like a lot of times like if something somewhat silly or something that seems somewhat out of the ordinary happens in Marvel, like you always have to have characters commenting on how weird and bizarre it is, even though kind of at this point I feel like it should kind of become the norm. So I kind of wish they would have a little less jokes about how bizarre things can get in Marvel, just a little bit less. I'm not trying to say get rid of it altogether, because you do have to have self-awareness to an extent, but just probably just ease back on the self-awareness just a tiny bit is all I'm saying.
And as far as DC goes, some things that I think that they do bad. My thing is like, it's just a creative direction, I appreciate the individual solo films that we've gotten, the creativity certainly behind them, but the creative direction. Where's all this headed? Has always been an issue for them. They had an idea with Zack Snyder where they wanted to go. Things clearly changed. They've had so many like management, I feel like, coming in and out. It's like been a revolving door. It feels like that nobody's really been able to leave a lasting impression or mark on DC creatively. And so yeah, their creative direction has been pretty piss poor, and I would definitely like to see that change now with David Zaslav, and hopefully the branches that he creates and the people that he puts in charge to maybe have a much better path going forward.
Yeah, I would actually 100% agree with that.
Jericho Gonzalez, since we are currently in the 4th phase of MCU, what were the previous 3? Or is it just mumbo jumbo? No, it's definitely not mumbo jumbo. Phase 4, I would assume, is Iron Man to Avengers. I would assume phase 2 is, I don't know what movie came after Avengers, but from there to Avengers 2.
Actually,
or Civil War.
What's funny is like Marvel has officially said like Ant-Man is where phase 2 ended. They're like, yeah, no, we like ending our phases on solo hero movies, so they consider Ant-Man to be the end of phase 2, and then Spider-Man No Way Home not No Way Home, sorry, Far From Home, right? Yeah, the second one. They consider that to be the official end of phase 3.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because I'm right here. So phase 1. Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, First Avenger. Captain America, First Avenger, and then the Avengers. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, yeah, it goes from Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. There you go. Phase 3, Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Homecoming, Thor, Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasps, Captain Marvel, Avengers, and yep, Far From Home. So those are your 3. And phase 4 began with WandaVision. Man, there's a fucking ton of phase 4 so far.
Yeah,
there's a lot of phase 4 so far. So yeah, so there's your phases. So definitely not mumbo jumbo. They definitely have a path. Let's see. John Schuyler. What's up, John Schuyler? What are some of your favorite moments from the 10th anniversary Forever Red? One of my favorites was when Tommy and Jason reunited. Seeing the OG's rock leather jackets was legendary. Even the Jason showing up in the sick motorcycle rock star moment. You have any Forever Red favorite moments?
Oh man, both the fight scenes are still amazing. I love that they kind of had, it was almost like a prelude to Zack Snyder style fights, because you had a lot of slow-mo mixed with speeding up the action. And I also love, even though it looked really not as good as it would have if it was like actually by the Wachowskis with $1 million, but I do like how they try to recreate the bullet time from The Matrix. And given what they had going for them, I think they did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, man, the fighting for me was off the charts. I don't know if I even going back all this time, I still feel like it's some of the best choreography I've seen Power Rangers do, honestly. Like I've loved every minute of the fight sequences in there. And honestly, one of my other favorite moments is when TJ arrives out of his car. There is something just super respectful that, was it Carter from Lightspeed Rescue, I believe, the Red Ranger, when he introduces TJ, and he literally introduces him by his full fucking name. He's like Theodore Jarvis Johnson. Like he doesn't even call him TJ like his buddies, but he puts fucking respect on his name. And it's something that made me really just proud and really appreciate the fact that they did that for TJ. But yeah, I loved him when he got out of this sweet ass car, closed the door, and walked up. There was just something cool. I love the idea of the current Red Ranger from Wild Force and Cole literally being thrusted sort of into this mission that was just so well established, ready to go. Like just the scene of them sitting down at the table and going over the plan and stuff. I'm like, oh shit, we're in the middle of a mission. I just thought it was handled so incredibly well, and it's a bummer we haven't had a fantastic crossover like that since then, man. So well thought out and so much fun.
I love how like no one one-ups each other. Everyone is just like
absolutely.
Everyone has their own unique style in the movie, and I love that they somehow were able to get like the fight the fight choreography was able to match exactly what it would have been if it was filmed for each one of their individual seasons, just with more like modern effects, you know?
And even just going so far as like the final scene when they're all walking off into the sunset, or they're walking away and they're all like being playful and like kidding around and pranking around with each other and stuff. Like there's just something about camaraderie and family and team that really worked for me in that end sequence. So I was a big fan of it, man. I was a big fan of it. Let's see
The
here.
true Fast and Furious family.
Absolutely. Nicole Robertson says, "Hey, y'all, hope you're doing well this week. Two-part question. What movie have you seen that felt like a giant advertisement? You may Google search. And what movie left giant unanswered questions?" For me, Josie and the Pussycats felt like a giant advertisement. It was left and right. I felt like every scene had some sort of promotion, like to something like some logo, or I don't, whatever they call it when they put like marketing pieces inside of a movie. But Josie and the Pussycats was like that. And Stuart, between you and me, that's the first time I ever got high, I think, watching Josie and the Pussycats. Somebody asked me if I wanted to smoke, and I was like, "Oh, I'll try it." And I kid you not, the movie was atrocious, but I had the fucking giggles the entire thing. I could not stop laughing. The movie was so ridiculous, but I just remember looking around and just seeing product placement after product placement after product placement. So yeah, Josie and the Pussycats was the giant advertisement movie for me.
Almost like every Michael Bay movie is kind of like that. With a
I
lot
kind
all
of see
the
that.
product placements.
I can kind of see that. Any movie that left you like with giant unanswered questions?
Oh, God.
That was just
I'll come back to that one in just a moment. I'm going to look through like a quick top 10 list of it and see if I agree with any of them. But for the advertisement part, I think probably my number one would be both Space Jam movies, but a little bit more towards Space Jam 2, because
okay.
it felt like I was just watching. Like I enjoyed Space Jam 2, don't get me wrong, but I definitely felt like I was watching a long HBO Max advertisement, and that's all it really was.
No, I feel you there, man. I feel you there with all those damn Warner Brothers characters. Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I can't think of a movie that left me with unanswered questions. Maybe some people would say season 8 of Game of Thrones, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head where I was just like,
Ooh.
man, I have no idea.
Okay. Actually, here's one that we never got a direct answer to. How much of what we see in American Cycle is literal and how much of it is
Mm,
just in his head? Because
okay.
we know that to an extent, a lot of everything he did was just in his head, but we don't know the full extent. And I feel like there's some scenes that we see that had to have been like canon in some way, you know?
And that's the infamous Christian Bale film, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for any of you guys who are wondering, definitely go ahead and check that out. We got a question from Chase here. What's up, Chase from Germany? Oh, what's up? I don't know how to say hello in Germany, but what's up, Chase? What do you think of the rumors of Harley Quinn appearing in the newly announced sequel of Joker? Um, that's his first question.
Mhm. Well, not a rumor anymore. I'm excited because Lady Gaga is going to be Harley Quinn, and I think that's a pretty interesting choice. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me, "Hey, Adam, anybody else that you can think of outside of Margot Robbie you would really like to see play Harley Quinn?" Um, Lady Gaga probably wouldn't have been my first choice. I mean, for me, I think Margot Robbie is such a great Harley Quinn. To ask anybody else to be her, I haven't even really thought about them trying to tackle that idea. So when they name dropped Lady Gaga, I'm like, damn, why didn't I think of that before? Like, it feels like it's perfect just based off of just her personality, her just some of the clothes that she wears on the outside, hey, whatever makes you feel good about yourself, and just
Mhm.
her incredible talent, whether it be acting and music wise. I think it'd be great. Like I'm assuming, if anything, this is going to be a case of her being his psychiatrist in Arkham, and them falling in love, and them just. That's fascinating to me, man, and I cannot wait to see that, because I think it's been teased a little bit in the was it the Zack Snyder's Justice League? Was that what we got to see a little bit more of? No, maybe that's what. Maybe I'm thinking of Batman and Batman versus Superman. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Weren't there some scenes? What movie am I thinking? Maybe Birds of Prey when they're together, like psych when she's in the psych ward or she's dressed up as the
That was
psych.
the first Suicide Squad movie.
Yes, that's what it was. Maybe that was an extended cut that I wound up watching. Yes, that's what it was because it had Jared Leto's Joker in it. I kind of appreciated that being teased a little bit, so I kind of want to see that take shape on the Joker sequel. What other upcoming MCU movies will take place after the most recent Spider-Man and might even acknowledge the events? I know everyone's mind was wiped by Doctor Strange's spell, but who knows if his spell 100% worked? Does this mean that even the Avengers don't remember who Peter Parker was Spider-Man? Do you think the new Thor movie will reference Spider-Man or will be completely forgotten? I don't necessarily think every movie needs to reference it. Like Thor referencing Spider-Man, I don't know why he would. Thor's on his complete own adventure. He's not even in the city. So I am under the impression that Spider-Man will be a teammate, but he'll have his secret identity. They just won't know that he's Peter Parker like they certainly used to. But I think all the majority of the movies that we're seeing now will probably take place after Spider-Man No Way Home. Doctor Strange, I think, just references it. I'm trying to remember if he referenced it or not, or at least hinted at the idea like, hey, what I did in that other movie really effed things up. I think it was definitely teased that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they mention it in conversation with America Chavez because he's like, we had experience with the multiverse just recently. We had a thing with Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it definitely has been brought up. So I don't think it needs to be brought up all the time. I think maybe just characters like, hey, if you're in New York City, maybe, and if you're connected to that storyline in any way, they might make a reference to it. But I don't think every movie needs to.
Yeah, I like that Moon Knight didn't really go out of its way to name drop a bunch of MCU references. It only, brought up the references when they felt very organic to the story.
Absolutely. And did he erase everybody's memory, Stuart, was it about the events that happened or just Peter's identity?
Just Peter's identity, which means I think people still know that there was like a fight with Spider-Man on the Statue of Liberty. I would assume so, anyways.
Yeah, and I was always under the impression that he erased the identity of Spider-Man, not what happened in the events.
Yeah, which means like people seeing him fighting a bunch of supervillains on the statue, people could put their own stories together and assume, oh, I agree with J. Jonah Jameson. He is a menace.
He is a menace, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the sky open up? It was like ripping apart and people were in the sky. It was crazy, man.
Spider-Man was trying to destroy us, clearly.
Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll get some references. Adam Perea says, we know that Lord Zed was reincarnated by Monster Rogel in episode 14 of the first season of Dino Fury, and he escaped. If the rumors and theories come true of Lord Zed ends up returning in the final episodes of Dino Fury, would you like Zed to be destroyed or escape? I personally kind of want him to escape, Stuart.
If he's not going to be the main villain for the entire season, I really don't want him to be destroyed, as the last minute villain. So I hope he escapes and sets up season 30.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. He says, in my opinion, I think I would like for Dino Fury team to beat Zed, but right before the end credits, we see a cliffhanger which Zed actually survives. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that would be a really great compromise for MMPR fans who love Lord Zed, and for us longtime fans. This may not happen at all, but what if we learn that the reincarnated of Lord Zed discovers from the history? Hold on. This may not happen at all, but what if we learn that this reincarnated of Lord Zed discovers from the history of archives that the real Zed had turned human, and he goes and finds him? We all know that would be cool. I love that theory, Adam.
That's similar actually to an idea I had for if I was doing if I was doing the Power Rangers movie, because I think I mentioned to you like the way I would want to do it is like the J.J. Abrams route of just like, starting a new continuity but having it originate from the original continuity with time travel. And yeah, the main villain would be the main villain I had in mind was Zed, played by Michael Fassbender as a human, and him like basically trying to do things differently in the past, but then we get like a very new version of Zed from him because he ends up interacting with his pure evil self, not liking it, but still being evil, and so wanting to go on his own kind of new Zed path.
I kind of dig it, man. I love both the ideas and theories you guys are coming up with here. But yeah, it does kind of go back into the idea of like, maybe we get a cliffhanger and Zed pops up and it's like, oh shit, he's coming back for the 30th. Yeah, something like that would be really, really cool. So we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Doomsday says, if the deal between Sony and Disney to keep Spider-Man in the MCU never worked out, how do you think Spider-Man No Way Home would end up like? Mediocre? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe mediocre. Listen, I do think Toby and Andrew probably would have come back. So I do think those elements would have stayed the same. I just don't believe it would have been as fun of a film, though. I think it might have lacked a little bit more heart because of the fact that MCU wasn't involved. So I don't think it would have been as enjoyable or have as much heart. So I think it would have just been an okay film. What about you, though?
Probably. I feel like they wouldn't have been able to have as much fun with the world itself, because obviously you wouldn't have been able to use Doctor Strange or any of those characters. And so you wouldn't have had that one moment where you got the other Spider-Man being like, whoa, you were in the Avengers? What's that? Because, yeah, they wouldn't have been allowed to, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see. Is that a band? Are you in a band? Let's see here. Dino Real Soul AJ. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of the 3 Spider-Man interacting with. I love you guys. I love you guys.
Hope we get more of that in the extended cut, because there's supposed to be like an extended DVD coming out. They said it's going to have an extra 45 minutes of footage, but like. Okay. I don't know if that all takes place before we get the 3 Spider-Man together, so I'm kind of curious.
Man, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. Dino AJ from June 12th last week, he says, the Back to the Future trilogy, while it is one of the best trilogies of all time, what never really made sense to me every time I watch all 3 films is how come the villain is pretty much Biff. Even his ancestor in a Wild Wild West, Mad Dog Tannen. Does that mean Biff was always meant to be an awful person and that Marty must have caused a time paradox where Biff's entire family are assholes? Biff eventually becomes a good guy by the end of the 3rd film when Marty returns from the Wild West and George McFly stands up to Biff in 1955. Yeah, I think it's just a lineage of assholes in his family. I think it just passed on from generation to generation. And that's why they look alike. That's why they all act alike, sort of thing. The Biff family is just assholes, AJ.
To quote one of my favorite rock bands, nothing changes because it's all the same. The world you get's the one you give away. It all just happens again way down the line.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Great reference, Stuart. But yeah, so that's why how come the villain is pretty much Biff. Yeah, it's just a terrible ancestry, man. Nope, yeah. Don't be a part of that bloodline. Let's see here. Momariso. What's up, Momariso? Appreciate you coming through. I saw your previous episode of A Plus Hero Report, and someone asked about Amber Heard. Do you think she deserves to lose a lot of acting opportunities? In my perspective, I don't think she should. If you don't want to watch her movies, then don't watch. She doesn't have to lose her job. She needs to make a living. I'm not sure if it even applies to other projects that aren't DCEU related. So do you think she deserves to lose a lot of acting opportunities? Oh, go ahead.
I mean, it's just the consequences. Like, if I am a casting director and I'm looking into whether or not I want to hire Amber Heard, I'm going to, of course, be looking into her background, looking into like the Johnny Depp's trial going on and some of her actions during said trial. And I'm going to think to myself, she may not mesh well with other actors, so I'm pretty much not sure if I want to hire her.
Does not play well with others.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where it's just like, that's just kind of how the world works. Consequences to your actions. It's like whether or not like it's deserved, it's just how it is. Like if there was like a thing where she wasn't allowed to audition, not allowed to, attempt to get other jobs in the film industry, I could see an argument for that. But it's like she can still go for it. It's just her chances of getting them are lower because, again, actions have consequences.
And before I say this, I just want to put out, like, I think both people are pretty toxic in the sense of at least their relationship was very much toxic.
Hmm.
Johnny Depp definitely deserves his pushback for some of the shit that happened in a relationship. Amber Heard certainly deserves some also. I think Amber Heard definitely gets blown up because of the fact of her saying something about Johnny made him lose opportunities in his career. Whether there were films that he was lined up for, he lost out on those opportunities also, and she lied in regards to, or at least painted herself to be something that she wasn't, or at least her viewpoint on it. And I think, when you, like Stuart said, there are consequences to your actions when you are found lying and your lying damages the livelihood of other people. You got to be held accountable for those actions. And I think that's something that people don't seem to like, that word these days, accountable. Oh, you mean I gotta pay for the dumb shit that I do in my life? Yeah, that's how life works.
Yeah.
And so her missing out on opportunities now, I don't feel sorry for her. Do I think this should go on for her entire career? No, because I do think people should be able to learn, give second chances and second opportunities, but not immediately. I think
Hmm.
there is some pain and some consequences and accountability that you have to deal with to know that you can't do that type of stuff again. And then maybe the world will be a little bit gentler to her. Because listen, I will say this: there is a very much a mob mentality that will just keep shitting on you and bringing you down. And it's one of those things where sometimes I say things. While I don't necessarily agree with Amber Heard, there is a part of me that is concerned for her and worried for her in the sense of people's mental state, right? Like, the social society that we live in these days can just beat you down until you feel like complete shit and nothing, and could lead you to do some really terrible things. And so I do think that while everybody's opinionated about what happened to Amber Heard, I'm not agreeing with any of her actions whatsoever. I do hope in time there is at least a healing process, and then maybe eventually she'll get those opportunities again. I just don't think we should immediately cancel everybody forever. I think these people need to prove themselves and showcase that they're trustworthy again, and that they've changed and they've seen the error of their ways. That's what holding people accountable is all about, and consequences that come from your actions. So we'll see what happens. But so does she deserve lose a lot of her acting opportunities? Maybe right now, sure. I can see why people are dropping her, but as long as it's not something that's forever, then I'm okay with.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's this there's a podcast I listened to, Double Toasted, and they were like doing this whole kind of like talk about cancel culture, and I kind of agree with their overall consensus on it, which is like it feels like more than anything, cancel culture is really just a timeout. And there are some people out there that really
Mhm.
do need that timeout, whether or not it's to reflect on their own actions and kind of like hopefully grow and learn from their mistakes in the future, or it's just because like, okay, this person, clearly this being in this environment is bad for you, so you need to stop being in this environment for a while. Regardless, people kind of talk about it as if it's like a career ending thing, like, oh, because this one person made a mistake, now they're no longer allowed to work in the industry ever again. And most of the time that's not the case. It's just you need to sit in a timeout for just a couple years, go back into acting, then after that, or then we'll talk.
Yeah, but I will say that the opposite side of that I will say is I think Hollywood is also a different creature in its own self. I do think
Mhm.
that Hollywood can hold a lot of grudges and animosity and really blacklist people for a very long time. You know what I mean? And so while in everyday life, absolutely, I certainly agree with them. I do think Hollywood is like a completely different beast, in regards to how they really can blacklist you for like years on end. So it'll be interesting, but I definitely agree with them in the sense of like this. It does feel like a timeout, for some people longer than others,
Oh
but
yeah.
yes, most definitely. And speaking of, I will say this. Speaking of cancel culture, this weekend, Stuart, going to Fan Expo Dallas, and I think I brought this up before, maybe on a show or something like that. But I, we had a bunch of Star Wars people there this weekend, and Giancarlo Esposito was there, Katie Sackhoff, Ashley Eckstein. I think there was probably maybe one or Ming Na Wen, from Fennec Shan from The Mandalorian and things like that, and then Gina Carano. Gina Carano was there. But you know what, Stuart? Gina Carano's booth. So when you walk up to the celebrity or the guest section, they'll have a whole row of tables and celebrities, and they'll sit there, and right behind them there's usually a curtain with their image of their character, and they sit in front of it. So I'm going all the way down the line, and at the very end is Gina Carano's table, but her thing is curtained off from everybody else. It's a black curtain that extends outside of her table and goes around. So everybody else you can just walk up to. Gina Carano, though, is behind a black curtain that you line up outside, and then you go inside to kind of see her. And I was just thinking about, like, I wonder why they're doing that. Like, it's been a while since the whole Gina Carano Star Wars thing happened. But I'm feeling Gina Carano's still feeling some type of way, to where maybe she doesn't want her photos taken. I do wonder, like, her appearance, if it looks vastly different. Maybe she's getting ready for a role. I really have no idea. But it was like that all weekend long, and it kind of shocked me that of all the and with co-stars, mind you, that she's been with, right beside her, a couple seats down, the fact that she was secluded like that was really interesting to me, and I never understood why. And I do wonder if it's still in part because of how she feels, but maybe the way she was treated with the whole Star Wars thing.
It could be like a million things.
It could be.
It could honestly even just, like, I'm not trying to spread rumors or anything, but it could honestly be that maybe she and one of the other cast members didn't get along. Possibly. Not saying that is it though. Don't.
Right. I'm not trying to spread speculation. It's speculation. It's speculation.
But yeah, there's like a million things. But yeah, I do think that, like, the Gina thing is kind of very similar in the sense of, like, I definitely don't think she deserves to be blacklisted at all. But I also didn't necessarily feel bad for her when she got fired, if that makes sense. But I definitely don't think that she deserves to be blacklisted.
Right. No, I definitely get you for sure. We got Gabriel Glasgow, a couple questions in regards to the Flash series. I started watching some episodes from each season of the Flash, and I noticed that Barry really changed his suit a lot, sometimes with no explanation. How come the original suit is never used again after the third season?
Because once you upgrade, why would you want to go back?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, unless okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, I do kind of like when it is utilized a lot of times to show flashbacks, or in one particular case, I like in season 2 when it led to a kind of fight between season 1 Barry and season 2 Barry, and you had like the different suits to distinguish which was which.
Oh, that's a good point. He also said, I saw the arc where Reverse Flash goes back in time, where everyone sees Barry as the enemy. Reverse Flash gets a new suit with no explanation. Do you think the next episodes of season 8 and next season, Reverse Flash will use that same suit, or go back to the original that was used since the first season?
I don't know why he ended up having the different suit, but I'm also not complaining. I actually really like this new suit, so I hope they stick with it. I think just like the old one, it looked good in season 1 when everyone's outfit was essentially just, a leather jacket with a pattern on it. But now that I think that the costumes for the CW have evolved since then, I kind of like that they've now evolved the Reverse Flash suit as well. So I hope they keep it. Even though, you're right, there was no explanation for how he gets it.
Jessica Fryman says, do you think we will get a 5th season of Young Justice? And do you think Javicia Leslie would come back to play Batwoman one day? Would she come back to play it? I think so. I think if they said, hey, Javicia, we would love to have you reprise your role as Batwoman, I think she would come back. Is there a reason to bring her back, or would they bring her back? I think you could still bring her back. I think maybe like one more appearance is certainly possible, especially as we go. Was this the 10th anniversary we're about to go into next year?
Yeah. And then Eric Wallace has been talking about really wanting to make the Flash feel a lot bigger for season 9, especially if it's the last season. He wants it to feel like it's part of a bigger universe and it's not just the Flash. So I think there's a good chance we could see her in season 9 of the Flash.
And do you think a 5th season of Young Justice will happen?
Pretty sure. They only renew like the show one season at a time. So every time a season's like ending, you always have fans and the writers on Twitter, like, hashtagging Young Justice season 5. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that season 5 of Young Justice is going to happen. It's been doing pretty well, and the writing's just been getting really good.
I want to say, were you a fan of season 4?
Yeah, I haven't finished season 4 yet, but I am really enjoying it. They have like I'd say it almost kind of feels like it's turned into Clone Wars now, where
Mm.
you usually spend up to 4 or 5 episodes with one group of heroes, but then it completely shifts to like a whole nother group, like the next 4 or 5 episodes. So it almost feels like it's kind of an anthology series now, but it's like a
Mhm.
linear anthology because they do follow a linear story. It's just you're following different characters every 4 or 5 episodes.
That's cool. I did not know that, man. That's cool. Marcelino Vasquez has a question. Stuart, I know you weren't a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover between the 2003 cartoon and the 80s cartoon because 80s counterparts were treated as an incompetent joke. But what did you think of the crossover between the 2012 cartoon and the original 80s cartoon? Did you think it was any better or worse for you?
Ooh, I actually haven't seen that one, but I definitely need to. I'll make a slight correction. I actually didn't hate that crossover. I actually did like it overall. That was an issue I had with it, though. But
Oh, okay.
if I made it seem like I didn't like that crossover, that wasn't the case. I did still enjoy it overall. But I definitely need to watch that one because I actually haven't seen the 2012 Ninja Turtles interact with the 80s, or I haven't seen that crossover in particular yet.
Steven, what's up, Steven? Appreciate you coming through. He says, what were some of your favorite characters in Family Guy who were based on real life people and made them look ridiculous or epic? Other words, actors who played themselves on the show or someone voiced that actor as a complete character, for better or for worse.
I mean, I don't think you can have a better choice other than Mayor West. I think Mayor West was straight up my
Yeah.
favorite Family Guy character.
Yeah, I love Mayor West, man. The fact they got Adam West to do the voice was just fantastic too, man. I agree. That's got to be the best for Family Guy. Datilla says, "Hey Adam, so Chris Van Velit, I don't know who that is, interviewed Chris Hemsworth and asked him about playing Hulk Hogan, brother. Based on Chris's response, do you think the film is happening? And how do you? Oh, dang it! I was supposed to rewatch this. Hold on, let me see.
Gonna be Hulk Hogan, 24-inch pythons, brother. Is this still happening?
Is this still happening?
Maybe. Todd Phillips is busy doing, I think, Joker 2, I believe, and I've been off doing, other films, and yeah, it's all in conversation.
Can you hear it?
Development.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things, there's a lot of different things need to come together for it to happen. But I don't have 24-inch pythons yet.
Okay, so he doesn't have his pythons yet. Chris Hemsworth's still working on those pythons. But man, Stuart, I thought this movie was locked and loaded and ready to go. I thought the reason why Homeboy looked as ripped as he did for Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't just Thor: Love and Thunder, but also those 24-inch pythons. I thought he was trying to become Hulk Hogan during this whole process. But he says he's not there yet, that things are still in development. It's a wait and see based off of everybody's schedule. Todd Phillips very much is very busy, as we just talked about at the top of this, with Thor 2. So not a Joker 2. So hearing this, Stuart, do you think it's still happening, or do you think it'll fall off and never see the light of day?
Gotta be totally honest, brother. This is the first time I've heard about this movie. So I'm not sure. I think honestly, I feel like if this movie is still happening, we're probably not going to get any news about it until like after Joker 2 is done filming.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe after Joker 2 is done filming, while it's in post-production, maybe that's when they'll go ahead and tackle this. I don't know if they're going to be using Chris Hemsworth again as Thor for quite some time, since he just wrapped up Thor: Love and Thunder. So maybe this is a perfect opportunity, like have Todd Phillips start working on this film it, and then once they're done, as long as everybody's schedule is still together. So there's a part of me that does think this will happen. It's just going to take a little bit more time. I think Hulk Hogan is such a pop culture icon that this movie definitely needs to get made. And Chris Hemsworth is certainly the guy for the job. So yeah, I think it'll happen. Just give it some time. Give it some time.
There is a reality show I'm kind of interested in checking out because it almost comes off as a sitcom, but it is about Hulk Hogan and his family. I only know about this because like a channel I follow, V and Fuso, was talking about it, and there's an episode where essentially he basically puts spy cameras all over his daughter in order to spy on her when she's going on a date, apparently.
Oh.
And I'm just like, he describes some things that happen in the show, and it's so weird knowing it's a reality show because these sound like sitcom ideas, or like plots that you would hear in sitcoms. So I'm kind of curious. I might check the show out at some point in the future. It sounds ridiculous in the best way.
Let's see here. I'm gonna keep AJ's next question as new. I will move on to one. We'll probably do one last question here before we wrap up. This is from Jonathan. Are you? By the way, are you available this week to do a live viewer question video by any chance? Do you know?
I will try to get around to that tomorrow, but I don't want to make any promises for that.
No problem. If you can, I might try to. I feel like we're pretty close to catching up, so we'll see how this goes. But last question here from Jonathan. I saw your live video of A Plus Hero Report, and one of the big topics you talked about was James Gunn. Do you agree or disagree that he is starting to be the John Watts or Kevin Feige for the DCEU? They haven't officially announced that he is or anything like that, but I think if there's anybody that could be that for the DCEU, again, I don't know if they would promote him into that role, but I think somebody that's clearly been to both production studios, he's been attached to the Marvel Studios for such a long time. Not only is he a great film director, but a great writer, and I think I would hope that he definitely has picked up on some things from Kevin Feige from his time in Marvel Studios, to where if he ever did take that position or that role, he would handle it pretty well because he's a very creative guy, to certainly say the least. So I do think that he could be. I just don't know if they have plans on that right now for him. But I can see maybe in like another 10 years, maybe James Gunn falls into that role somewhere.
I think he could do it just fine, but it sounds from the interviews like he doesn't want to, because he seems like he's way more interested in writing and directing. Yeah, because he was like actually mentioning that he didn't like. I can't remember what project it was specifically, but he wasn't the biggest fan of being a producer on it because he didn't get to be as hands-on as he wished he could have. And then same with when he used to just write movies. He also wasn't a fan of that because a lot of times he would write something, and then when he would see the way it was directed, I think like the Scooby-Doo movie is like kind of one example. He would just be really disappointed because like when he wrote it, it just would never look the way he imagined it when he was writing it. So he's definitely, because of those reasons, he's definitely way more interested in the writing and directing aspect of filmmaking.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think he definitely has said that before. So we'll see what happens. But I do think James Gunn, regardless of his position, him being in the DCEU family now after his time here in Guardians of the Galaxy, is only but a win for Warner Brothers Discovery. So hopefully they continue to pick his brain and his talent over the next few years. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for our live viewer questions for the day. We do have ourselves a midweek episode that will be dropping on Wednesday for you guys. I did confirm that with Indy. So as long as Indy's certainly still up for it, you could definitely expect them for Wednesday evening. Whether or not, I don't know if me or Stuart will be able to join them, but we'll definitely keep you posted. And again, we do have a Miss Marvel review dropping for you guys Thursday morning at 11 a.m. And then we've got a live review for Obi-Wan Kenobi's finale on Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time, guys.
I'm going to try and be in the live chat for that because I'm sure I'll have some
Kenobi
thoughts on
one.
This. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to definitely have some thoughts on the series finale.
Yeah, it should be a good one, to certainly say the least. But that will wrap it up in regards to our live viewer questions. And I think other than that, I think that's going to be a wrap for us, guys. Stuart, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at TurboStew01.
Fantastic, man. And of course, guys, you can always reach us on social media if you'd like to. Right up here at A Plus Opinions. Very active over on Instagram, Facebook, which is our main page, along with Twitter. Definitely go ahead and follow us there. If you continue to love our content, hit that subscribe button, guys. It definitely goes a long way, along with that bell notification. So when we do drop brand new videos, you will certainly be notified. And if you love this week's video, hit that like button, guys. It definitely does go a long way. So other than that, we'll definitely see you guys later on in the week. Thank you so much for certainly joining us here. And until next time, do us a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. Talk to you guys later. Bye.